Good morning. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx Webinar, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. My name is Bruce Mullock. Panel members this morning are Peter Reid, Zahir Bayat, and Yim Chan. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting via computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone. They have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted by the moderator upon entry. When an item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. And we ask that you also mute your devices until you are called upon to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist status when their item is being heard. As a panelist, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role should you fail to respect this instruction. I will now proceed with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property in order to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of a particular decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and emailing address, because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed the rights of third parties to appeal. As of November 28th, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. I will call each item in the order that it is listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if requested by the panel. When the panel does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. And I will comment to you as you are approaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and may be asked to make a presentation. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised in order to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice are informed of the changes. Then, individuals either in support of or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the agent will have an opportunity to rebut, but only to those issues that were raised by the speakers. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have the minutes of the last hearing been confirmed by panel members?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. There are no minutes for adoption today.
Thank you very much. To panel and staff, are there any declarations of interest on any items today? Hearing none. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. One for this morning, item 13, 25 SPARKHALL Avenue.
Thank you very much.
And through you, Mr. Chair, there are no applications for withdrawal or closure today.
Thank you very much. We move on then to our agenda. Item number 1. 461 Bathurst Street. And on this application, the committee has before it the following communications. There are the copies of the plans of survey, the site plans, the floor plans, the elevations, all those materials submitted at the time of application. There is also a revised site plan dating to 24 January. And there is a staff report from the Acting Director of Community Planning in the City Planning Department, received on March the 29th. So let's have the agent or the agent join us by stating your name, please.
Hello?
Hello, you're with us.
Oh, hi. Good morning, Peter.
Okay, could you state your name, please?
Yeah, this is Michael Liu, and I'm representing the owner for 461 Bathurst Street.
Good stuff. Very good morning to you. Let me just check with the moderator. Do we have one person standing by, moderator?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I've tried to contact the interested party twice by email and phone, and I'm unable to get a hold of them.
We're not able to raise that person. Okay. So there is no one standing by to speak to this application. Panel members, up to you. Does anyone feel the need for a presentation? Okay, well, are there any questions you have for the applicant, panel members? Mr. Byatt, go right ahead.
Just one quick one, Mr. Chair. I think it's a fairly straightforward application. There's nothing untoward. there is a planning condition, but my concern and question is related to the third floor rooftop balcony. The sides of the balcony have, I believe, about a 42-inch height. I was wondering if it would be, if the agent would be okay with the idea of raising that to 1.5 meters as a privacy screen on both the north and south sides.
That question for you, Agent?
Yeah, sorry, may I just ask for a quick clarification? This privacy screen on which side?
I believe, given that it's Bathurst Street, I couldn't quite tell, but I believe it might be both north and south sides. Because this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is a semi-detached home, if I'm not mistaken. And the homes are very close together, so there's very good chance of overlook on the neighboring properties.
Got it. So just having the installation of privacy screen on the balcony.
Yes, on the two sides. I believe the back is not a problem, but I believe it's the two sides.
Yeah, that is a non-issue. We can do that.
Thank you.
And applicant, are you aware of the fact that there is a planning recommendation to, should this application be approved by the committee, that the committee tie it to the plans?
Yes.
Okay, very good, okay. Any further questions, panel, for the applicant? I'm not hearing any, so at this stage, we can take the application into committee for a decision. Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Even in this area, I think this is a very appropriate development, and I do not think I agree with the privacy screen, and also I think the staff recommend to tie to the plans submitted dated June 30th, so 2022. So with that, I move for approval.
Thank you. That is seconded by Mr. Baez. Therefore, moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, please, show of hands. And the motion.
And also the privacy screen, yeah. So
Yes, it's yes, subject
Sorry,
to
yeah,
privacy
I
screen
forgot.
both sides and tied to plans.
north and south edges of the first floor, yeah, the balcony.
I beg your pardon? Ms.
I
Shannon,
think it's north and south edges, yeah. North and south edges of the first floor balcony.
Mrs. Byte, do you have in mind the first floor balcony for the privacy screens? No, let's just go slowly here. I think Mr. Byatt's proposal for privacy screens was not the first floor.
It's
No,
the
it's the
third floor balcony, rooftop balcony.
The rooftop, the top one, the third one.
It's shown on drawing A12.
It's the rooftop terrace. They call it rooftop terrace.
Well, it's drawing A12. That's what Mr. Byatt's referring to. Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay. I think we're square then. So, okay, I think we're square. And that application is approved subject to privacy screening both sides of that rooftop terrace on the third floor and the entire application being tied to plans. We move on to item number 2. 297 Delaware Avenue. On this application, the panel has before it materials submitted at the application time. There are 4 photographs of trees on the property, and there is correspondence in concern from 293 Delaware and Sanderson, received on March the 28th. Let's have the applicant join us, please, by stating your name.
Can you hear me?
Good morning.
My name is Park Ding. I am the agent for the property at 297 Delaware Avenue.
Good morning to you. Okay, panel members, any questions for the agent? Go ahead, Mr. Byatt.
Just wanted some clarity on with regard to variances 1 and 2 with the requests for soft landscaping, which are fairly substantial. So I was just wondering if I could get some sort of explanation as to what this is all about.
Because firstly, the extension for the rear with the deck below that have reduced the soft landscape area, and also there's an existing garage on the property, but it has been removed by the it has been removed, and that area.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What has been removed? I didn't quite catch that.
The detached garage at the rear yard.
The detached garage. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that had been converted into like driveway. That was converted into parking space. That's why it's reduced the landscape area. Also, for the front landscape, because of the proposed exterior stair go from the basement up, that's also reduced the landscape area as well.
Okay, the question was, I think the question arose from the members' concern that you are asking for significant deficiencies in soft landscaping, both front and rear. And soft landscaping is a key focus for the committee these days because the trend in the city is toward less soft landscaping rather than more. And this is the wrong trend during a time when we're concerned about heavy storms and basement flooding. So our principle is that every property should be doing its very best to absorb its fair share of stormwater. So I had the same question, actually, and I want to know, I think there are things you could do to reduce, for example, the rear soft landscaping by reducing the width of the walkway. The walkway is quite wide that goes back to the garage. And you could probably improve that 32 figure up to something like, something better. That's what the committee is looking for you to do, is to improve those soft landscaping percentages. Do you have any ideas?
We can use permeable pavement or just paper. We can use paper. And the existing garage has been removed. We can reduce. We can using the.
I'm having. Excuse me, sir. Sir, I'm not sure about your mic, but I'm having trouble. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble distinguishing what you're saying. Your microphone is somehow making it a little bit foggy. So please go slowly.
We can propose the permeable paper for the walkway, and the garage that had been removed.
I'm sorry, I've got to ask you to repeat that.
We can use paver for the walkway from the rear to the garage.
Pavers are something. Pavers help, but pavers don't operate on a one-to-one equivalency basis with genuine soft landscaping in terms of absorption. I mean, so I'm putting the option to you. It's up to you. Maybe you want to stand with your application as it stands, and we'll see how the panel feels about it. Would you like me to set this application aside for a few minutes? We'll go on to the next application and come back to you.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to set number.
If I may just. Sorry, Chair.
Go ahead.
If I may just add question to the agent while they are thinking about it, is on the site plan, there's just the existing garage indicated. There's no indication of the garage being removed. I am just wondering if that's something that should be added as an amendment, because I don't see it anywhere that the existing garage would be removed. Perhaps I'm wrong. And also, if the existing garage is being removed, what are they planning to replace it with in terms of materials? That might help the agent figure something out to
Very
improve
good
the
point.
variance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that excellent point. So we'll set number 2 aside for a few moments and return to it. Give the agent some time to think of his options. And we'll move on to number 3, 757 DuPont. And on this application, the only materials before the panel are those submitted at the time of application and a revised site plan dating to 27 January. Agent, please join us.
Nelson, you've been unmuted.
Oh. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Nelson here speaking for this application.
Good morning to you, Nelson.
I am the
Could you state your
Good
full
morning.
name, please? Nelson, state your full name.
Nelson Espinola
Very
at
good.
1726 St. Avenue West.
Good morning, thank you. Okay, panel members, on this application, any questions for the agent? Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Sorry to belabor, but I wonder if the agent could just speak to variances 6, 7, and 9, particularly 9 and 6. They're both front landscaping, and I'm not quite sure what the difference is between the two. You've got two different ones.
Yes, with regards to the front landscaped area, I kind of made an analysis of what's there right now and we're proposing. And the front landscaped area, it has actually improved slightly from what's there presently. On my chart, I indicated that the existing landscaped area is approximately 40% of the front yard, and the proposed is 47. So we are actually improving a bit on the front landscaped area.
So the question then is,
That's the-
what is number 7 all about?
Number 7, it's in regards to the rear landscaped area, which is pretty much what's there right now. As you can see, the existing building comes to more or less where the proposed addition is going to be. So the rear landscaped area is compatible to what's there right now.
Thank you.
And if I may again, it's this variance number 9, which also deals with front yard landscaping. So you've got two variances related to front yard landscaping, and they vary. So they're different. So I'm not quite sure what the issue is.
Yes, one is soft landscape area, and the other one is what they call landscaped area. It's a bit of a difference, whereas a landscaped area, or soft landscaped area, I should say, it's only areas like grass or mulch, and landscaped area includes stairs, I believe. So the calculation is a bit different. Soft landscaped area is a percentage of the actual area. It's just a bit of a different way of calculating these two areas.
Thank
But
you.
as I mentioned before, the soft landscaped area and the landscaped area is comparable to what's there presently.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You all.
Okay, then let's take the application into committee for a decision. A motion, please. Mr. Reed, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. This is a reasonable application, and I know that members had concerns of the landscaping that's being provided, but I think given the context and the extremely small front yard and the rear yard that the remaining space is basically as green as it can be, I think. So I think it's reasonable, and the addition that's being proposed is definitely in line with buildings in the area, shorter than most actually. So I move approval of the application with no conditions.
Thank you very much. Does that motion, it is seconded, Mr. Byatt. Moved and seconded. Approval. No conditions. Those in favor, please show hands. Carried. And the application is so approved. Number 4 is 74 Hazelton Avenue. On this application, the panel has before it materials submitted with the application, revised materials March 29th, revised zoning waiver, same date, 2 photographs of the property, 7 sun study photographs, 1 photograph and aerial map. There's a cover letter from the agent, March 20. There's a 2018 Committee of Adjustment decision which affected the property. And there's a shadow study. There's comment from Transportation Services. And there's opposition in writing from 76 Hazelton. In fact, from December 5th, March 29th, and March 29th. From 68 Hazelton, 95, 76, 75. From the ABC Residents Association, from 76 Hazelton, again from ABC Residents Association, and from 97 Hazelton. And there are presentation materials in opposition from Jaleh Farhadpour, 76 Hazelton. So we'll ask the agent now to join us, please, by stating your name.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and panel members. My name is Luis Pahania. My address is 4 Munhall Road, Etobicoke, Ontario, M9P1P9.
Thank you very much. Okay, then. You have 5 minutes to present your application to the panel. Please go ahead now.
Thank you very much. So 74 Hazelton, it's an existing semi-detached 3-story dwelling. It's been in the family for 24 years. Our proposed scope of work is to introduce a rear addition on the existing 3rd story and also including a 3-story glass atrium at the rear. In addition, including atrium would be located on existing dwelling footprint. It does not exceed beyond footprint. Proposal of the rear glass atrium is actually intended to be a playroom for the 2 boys in the owner's family, who are currently 2.5 years old and 11 months old, since it would be adjoining the 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor addition. The second use of the atrium would be also to house over 1,000 books for a library, proposed library. As part of our scope of work, we're proposing a detached garage located at the rear of the property, which would be accessed from the mutual right-of-way between 76 and 78 Hazelton Avenue. The legal lawful right-of-way is noted on the survey that's uploaded on our file. This is for the clients who wish to restore parking on their property. We also understand that there's a couple neighbors that have concerns regarding blocking the sun at the rear, along with the size of the structure. We wanted to note that since we received their concerns, we have worked with city planners and transportation services to adjust our design at the rear. If we can actually open up our sun study file, please, and go over to page 9. Sorry, the other sun file, it's the one with the shadow studies. So as you see there, those are just some shadow studies I can review afterwards. But so page 9, there you go, perfect. So, as discussing with city planners and transportation services, we made some following minor changes. as per the city planner's recommendations. At the rear of the atrium of the proposed third story, we sloped it over in order so we can have the 9.5 rear wall height. We made the roof over the atrium out of glass to allow sun to travel through as much as possible. All windows on the north will be frosted to eliminate any overlook issues for 76 Hazelton Avenue. That's our closest neighbor to the north. For the detached garage, we relocated stairs in order to fit a car as per the dimensions and as per Transportation Services recommendations. And also we've increased the soft rear landscaping from 4.8% to 13.07%. So just wanted to note again that Transportation Services, after a review of these minor changes, has no objections to our proposed plan as long as we provide the minimum length for parking space, which this has been addressed. And although the variance seem rather excessive compared to allowable zoning bylaws, the proposed renovation does follow precedents in the neighborhood that have been approved for similar or even greater variances. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, panel members, questions for the applicant? Let's then move on to the first speaker standing by in opposition, and have them join us, please, by stating their name.
Baker.
I'm sorry, if you wouldn't mind restating your name, the front was cut off.
My name is Mark Baker.
Good morning. Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Good morning.
Baker. Mr. Baker, you have 5 minutes to present your concerns to the panel. Go ahead, please.
Well, just a point of procedure first, Mr. Chairman. This application is a moving target. And even today, we're seeing fresh plans that have not been submitted, I think, until this morning. The plans that were reviewed by the zoning examiner were dated in December. And since that time, we've seen 2 or 3 other sets of plans, some submitted after the notice date. And so this committee has a requirements checklist, which is all the more important now that the right of appeal has been removed. And we are submitting that the requirements have not been met by the applicant, and these plans have not received the circulation that they're supposed to receive with the time periods that are intended by the requirements checklist, nor have they been reviewed by the zoning examiner. And so we think this application is premature. It needs to land somewhere. These new revisions that we're seeing just 5 minutes ago are just that. They're 5 minutes old. And we think that the neighborhood deserves to have.
Thank you. You made your point. Okay. The panel is dealing with the application as it stands in the notice that was distributed. That's what we're going to.
That's not.
Excuse me.
Sorry, that's not what's before you, unfortunately.
Excuse me. Well, the notice that we're dealing with is the one that is shown on the screen right now. So that's what the panel is dealing with. That's what the panel would be considering for approval or rejection.
Right.
If
and the plan.
Excuse me.
I beg your pardon.
So that's what the panel is dealing with. If the applicant comes to us with what we consider small changes that perhaps reduce the severity of the application, then we might consider that. But we're dealing with the application as distributed. And that's the notice that shows on the screen right now. Do you have any comments beyond that? Do you have any comments beyond that to make on the application that's on the screen?
I would like to introduce the applicant, the respondent, Jale Faridpour, who's attended today. She's most affected by the application, and so we'd like to use what's left.
Okay, then moderator, let's go to that speaker then, please.
Hey, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. We are Tom and Sally Phillips, the semi-detached next-door neighbors. In the spirit of our tightly knit community, we met with the applicant multiple times during our planning, and we modified our plans. If he had shown us the same courtesy, none of us needed to be here today. I invite you to please look at our presentation, pages 1 through 8. We are opposing this application because A, this massive stucco building will dwarf our home and block our sunlight forever. B, the 36-foot tall atrium and new windows will look down at us 24/7, down into our family room, down onto our deck. The applicant claims 24/7 usage over our backyard due to a right-of-way. The only outdoor space left to us is our third-floor deck. Sun and privacy will be gone on this deck forever. C, this massive two-story garage, which is next to impossible to drive in and out of, with vehicular access still in front of the courts, will remove all soft landscaping. Is the applicant seeking to build a second house? With a CH of 9 feet 2 inches on both floors, it is a house. Does this application fit the 4 tests? 1, is it minor in nature? No. 1.39 FSI, 36 feet high variance, and the garage? This will create 2 massive buildings on this lot. 74 Hazelton has 5,535 square feet of living space, 1.30 FSI already, as is. The lot is only 3,200 square feet. How much is too much? Our FSI is 1.01. 2, is it an appropriate development? No, it is far too dense for the lot and for Hazelton. 3, is it in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw? Absolutely not. It contravenes many bylaws intended to reduce mass and to increase softscape. The combined softscape of 76 and 74 together will be only 13%, as we were forced by the applicant to pave our entire backyard and driveway for his right-of-way. So where will all the water go? We have French drains, miles of pipe under our entire open space, but still our 2 sump pumps work 24/7. 4, is it in keeping with the official plan? No. Yorkville is special. Bylaws are written to preserve and protect this historic neighborhood. 2 massive stucco buildings and a glass atrium? No trees, no green, monolithic, no deck, no layers, no flavor, not in keeping. And the drawings, all the many sets of them, inaccurate and open to interpretation. Plans reviewed by zoning were changed, then submitted to COA. Established grades were removed. In the 3rd floor, an existing kitchen is drawn, which cannot exist. The ceiling height of this kitchen is 2 feet 8 inches. Ceiling height where the stove is 4 feet 6 inches. I've been in that space. There's no kitchen. Floor plans do not line up. The 3rd floor is 4 feet longer. So the facades too will be different. The building height and the floor plans do not match. The square footage in the area chart is wrong. Can these plans be trusted? Can you make your decision based on these? No, no, no. All the 3rd floor extensions on Hazelton have a setback, so should 74. In summary, this excessive proposal blocks sunlight, eliminates privacy, compromises the character of Hazelton, impacts the environment, and makes water management a nightmare. It should be rejected. Please examine this application with its inaccuracies and its excessive impact. Your decision will not only impact this property today, but will set a precedent for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Panel members, questions for this speaker? Mr. Bike, go ahead.
We cannot hear you.
I can't hear you.
I beg your pardon. Just a quick question, Speaker. Is your home the one, and I'm not even sure whose home that is, but there's a photograph with what looks like a cantilevered, partially cantilevered third floor, I believe, balcony that's glass, surrounded by glass wall. Is that your property?
Yes, yes, that's right, Mr. Bayat.
Okay, thank you kindly.
You're welcome.
Other questions, panel, for this speaker? Okay, thank you very much. Moderator, we have. Moderator, do we have 2 more speakers standing by?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have 1 more speaker.
Very good. Let's go to that speaker now.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Mr. Chair, this is
Can I
Paul
begin?
Elia.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, but we do hear you. Yes, please state your name.
Yes, my name is Paul Elia, and I live at 68 Hazelton Avenue, directly to the south of 74.
Very good, Paul.
As I wrote my letter to the committee.
Very good.
Pardon me?
Paul, you're now speaking to the committee.
Yes.
You have 5 minutes to present your concerns. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Dear committee members, my name is Paul Elia. I live at 68 Hazelton Avenue, directly to the south of 74. As I wrote in my letter to the committee, the Chilvers never reached out to me before the notice was sent out. However, when the owners of 76 were considering a renovation, they reached out to all the neighbors on the street. With consultation, we as neighbors were able to come to a satisfactory solution. One solution was that the 3rd floor addition of 76 Hazelton did not extend beyond the 3rd floor of 74. As I look north at both 74 and 76 Hazelton, I do see that the 76 renovation indeed stopped at the limit of 74's current 3rd floor patio, and in doing so respected the privacy of 74. It does not feel to me that this kind gesture is being reciprocated. To help understand the context, the property between our home and 74 is a parking lot. This addition would be therefore fully visible from our backyard where we spend time and entertain. If you look at the south view plans, I'll give you a moment to find them, you will see the atrium on the 3rd floor is seen with glazing extending approximately 8 feet in depth from the back of the structure. The 3rd floor plans, I'll give you a moment to see those, that were submitted. You will note the south wall is stucco the entire length of the property. These 2 plans are in conflict. Why must one analyze plans so thoroughly to fully realize what is being proposed? Not glass at all, as one would have thought, but a 3-story, 36-foot-long, flat-top stucco wall we would all see permanently. Aesthetically, the atrium at the rear to the north is not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, more suitable in a commercial environment, whether or without privacy film. With respect to the depth, please note that not seen on the site plan are homes to the south of 74. The proposed addition on the 3rd floor of 74 extends a full 18 feet beyond the 3rd floor of 68, 62, and 64 Hazelton, which mirror our depth. In fact, all of the 3rd floors of homes south of 74 all line up with ours. I know several owners to the south are away and unaware of this application, and perhaps I'm speaking on their behalf as they would share my concerns. Therefore, a 3rd floor extension of 18 feet beyond any house to the south is not minor and should not be considered minor by the committee. As is obvious to anyone, the view from our backyards will be severely affected. A concept also exists in the design as what is considered as built, presently on the 3rd floor. If you look at the front view plans, the facade is flush. I'll give you a moment to pull that out. On the 3rd floor plans, if you notice, at the front there is shown a jog out towards the street where none exists at floor level, only where the peak roof is located. If this 3rd floor plan is accepted, the ambiguity is such that the applicant would be entitled to extend the kitchen with a cantilevered floor beyond the historical front facade in contravention with all bylaws, but nonetheless approved by you. The committee needs clarification on this issue. There are so many errors in this design that I believe it's impossible for the committee in this short time to fully understand what is being proposed and what exactly the committee would be approving. For this reason alone, the application should be rejected. Lastly, John Childers emailed me this week telling me that the intention of the third floor renovation is for family members. I certainly hope that what we are not seeing here is someone using more lenient triplex plans to enlarge what will end up being a single-family home. For this many reasons, inaccurate plans, a lack of transparency, an extension of a third floor far in excess of any other home on the street by 18 feet, I am objecting to this application.
Paul, I'll ask you to make your... Paul, I'll ask you to finish your thoughts now, please.
Yes. For this many reasons, inaccurate plans, lack of transparency, and extension of the third floor far in excess of any other home on the street, my wish is that it be refused and plans resubmitted with a more reasonably sized addition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your submission. Panel members, questions for this speaker? I'm not hearing any. Okay, then. At this stage, then, we'll go back to the agent, who will have an opportunity to rebut the concerns that have been raised by speakers. And we'll ask the agent to confine his remarks to issues that were raised by the speakers. So let's go back to the agent now, please.
Perfect, thank you. So actually, now that you have that map pulled up, so you can see that 74 is highlighted, which is our property, and actually 76 and 76 and 68. So if you see 76, it actually got approved for a variance that has a greater depth than what we're applying for. They've actually been approved for, the oversized garage is actually a big sun blocker. So I know they're concerned with the sun reaching the property, but they have stuff on their lot that's been approved that actually causes more effect than what our proposal would. Along with that, if we can pull up the sun study we have, the images. So if we can put up the images for the sun study, the actual photographs.
We're going after them. Just a moment, please.
Sure. And I'll just add a note before we get to it. So the clients, the notes that the neighbors that have voiced their opinion, and it's always great hearing their train of thought, because we're always trying to work with them along with the planners and everybody else. So they're actually reviewing the old drawings. So there were updated drawings that were submitted to the city, and so their comments, their markups on the drawings is actually from the old previous drawings. So yeah, if we just start browsing through page 1 and making our way down to the sun study. Yeah. So those are actually shadows. These are actual photographs from site. So there are 2 massive apartment buildings at the west of this building. They're both about 10 stories and one's 9 stories. So if we can keep scrolling down through pictures. So this is the neighbors. If you see here on the left, the massive structure on the left closest to us, that's the neighbor's garage. It's 0 setback. It's got approved for a larger square footage. It has a height of over 7.56 meters. His rear yard dwelling actually extends beyond our proposed layout. And if we keep scrolling down, yeah, we can see also that those are the 2 apartment buildings are located directly to the west of both 74 and 76. Another note I want to add is that the soft landscaping was working with the planners. We did improve it. Now we're at 13%. I know the neighbor mentioned that he was at 13% total for 74 and 76. We're actually at 13% just on 74 Hazelton for soft landscaping at the rear. And regarding Paul Elia, we can actually pull up the Google Street views that we have. There's a satellite image and a front street view image. Yeah, so that's it. Perfect. So before us, we have on the right side, kind of towards the middle, the red brick. That is 74 Hazelton. That's the property that we're discussing today. Now, if you look at the building to your left, that would be 68 Hazelton. So there is quite a bit of large parking space. It actually serves for parking space for the rear apartments at the back, at the west side. So there is quite a bit of distance there. And so, in terms of casting shadow on his, we are some distance away. We're actually 2 lot sizes away from his property. And that image you can see there with the little red dot, that's 74 Hazelton. Along, you can see with the overstructure on 76 Hazelton with the 2 large apartment buildings at the back. And I know their comments were, based on the atrium and the glass, it doesn't suit, but this does fall under heritage. Therefore, it would be reviewed by them to ensure that the design does follow the heritage guidelines of this area. And that would be it for my rebuttal for now.
Thank you very much. Okay, panel members, questions for the speaker, the applicant? Go ahead, Ms. Chan. Then Mr. Byard.
Okay, I have some question. Your garage, you provide just the floor plan, but it seems that there's a set of stairs going up, 13 rises. So, and also you're proposing height enough for 2-story. First of all, why do you need 2-story for a 1-car garage? And also, what's the second floor or the loft or whatever you call it, floor plan? Where is it?
Correct. So yes, thank you for that question. So the detached garage, the staircase got moved to the side in order to give the length that is required, which is 5.6 meters. This was as per transportation's recommendation. So the location of the stairs did get shifted over in order to provide that. And yeah, if you go back 1 page, yeah, there you go. So before it was at the rear wall, now it's on the side, just to allow a proper distance car to fit in the garage. Also, the stairs do lead to what would be a storage space. It wouldn't really be full height. It's more to store seasonal items, jackets, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's additional storage in the garage, nothing less.
It's only a storage area, but you're not showing it, right? You just assume there's a loft on the second floor. So it is a 2-story, two-story structure then.
Correct. Yes, it is. The detached garage.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Byard, go ahead, please. Mr. Byard, we cannot hear you.
I apologize again. I was looking at the Google satellite image, and I think you partially answered my question already. Is that immediately south of you, there is a very large parking area, so there's nobody directly impacted on the south side, as far as I can see. From the site plan, it also looks like your building, your proposed structure, is almost in line with, or slightly shorter than, I believe it might be 78 Hazelton. And pretty close to the length of 76. So your structure, your proposed structure doesn't seem to be extending beyond the length of your immediate neighbor. Would that be correct?
That is correct.
And the only objection that I could gauge from your immediate neighbor is that the glass atrium structure would be a bit taller than his cantilevered terrace.
That is correct.
But
that can be illustrated. Actually, that can be illustrated in the Sun Studies, the last page, page 9. I did an outline of where the neighbor's balcony falls to where our proposed plans would be. So we can pull up those. That'd be helpful.
And while they're doing that, if I may just ask, you mentioned something about frosted glass intended for the north side of the atrium.
That's exactly it. So working with the planners who did mention and suggest that if we can frost all the windows on the north, which we have no objections to and more than glad to do so. And actually, here's a diagram. So if you see the red outline, that is the outline of 76 Hazelton Avenue. That's the house that is directly attached to us. We're semi-attached to them. So you can see the outline of where their building starts and ends. And you can see that at the back of the rear atrium, you can see how we sloped it down to, well, it's more to improve variance number 6. And also, just to note, 78 Hazelton actually goes well beyond 76 Hazelton as well.
Thank you very much.
Applicant, Mr. Reed, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Just regarding the drawing that's on screen, that outline includes the guardrail on the large cantilevered balcony, right?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Applicant, my question for you relates to a theme which I heard recur in the submissions of those that spoke in opposition. And they appeared to have spent some time in, detailed time in looking over the proposed drawings. But I kept hearing this theme to the effect that they felt there were ambiguities in the drawings, that the drawings appeared at certain instances to be in conflict with each other and or in error. So I'd like you to comment on that recurring theme in what I heard from speakers about the accuracy of the drawings.
Correct. So the original drawings were sent out along with the notice, and those had discrepancy with the height at the back. One elevation was correct, the other two did not line up, and so their markups are actually on the old previous drawings. We had newer drawings submitted over a week ago that got accepted by the committee members, by the panel that got added onto our file. So they're reviewing the older files. They're not reviewing the newer files that were submitted and accepted. And the only difference was just to clarify the height differences that they had concerns about.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for the applicant panel? I'm not hearing any. So at this stage, we can take this application into committee for discussion and also moving toward a motion. So let's do that. Panel members, some discussion on this application I think would be important. Who'd like to go first? Ms. Chan, go right ahead.
I can go ahead with some comment. I just would like to ask the other members what they think. In the beginning, I thought that the atrium sticking out and 3-story high with so much glass, and I thought that is very intrusive design. But the applicant also is quite convincingly present the two buildings, number 76 against 74. It seems that 74, when it's approved, it's already got this very large rooftop terrace. I'm not too sure privacy will be an issue in this case because they will be both looking into each other. These are, although it's not in downtown, it's not considered a very narrow lot, but in this area it is considered very, very tight, right? The 21 feet, and the lot is very small. But on the other hand, I see all these other property have already built beyond the permitted length or depth. So it is a dense area. So I'm a little bit not undecisive yet. So I want to listen to Peter and Sahil's comment on the privacy part on the intrusive design.
Okay, let's go. Who'd like to go next? Anyone, do either of you wish to speak? Peter, go ahead. Yes.
Sure. I think Zahir's screen is tied up, so I'll go. Yeah, I have a couple concerns about this. The depth is existing, right? But I think what's being asked for is this basically 3 continual floors of it. And the fact that it doesn't step down at all, that's a concern for me towards the rear. I think the the privacy question, Yim, that you raised, that's not a huge concern for me, but I think the shadowing, because this is to the south of the property to the north, I think the shadow impacts will be real. But yeah, privacy is not a huge concern for me. And the other concern I have is the rear yard soft landscaping, which yes, has been improved, but it's still a really low number. And I understand that there are limitations to what can be done because of the driveway access to the garage, but those concern me. So I think for me, the biggest issue is the not stepping down towards the rear on the third floor. I think that's out of character with the pattern on that street, and I think it's for me it's too much of a negative impact to approve.
Thank you. Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if you're hearing me.
I beg your pardon. Okay, Mr. Byatt, we can't hear you now. We could a moment ago. Now you're gone.
I'm sorry, I must be having technical issues here. If you can hear me, I think
now we can. Now we
I
can.
don't have an issue with the privacy. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry. Because the neighbor already has a huge big terrace that overlooks the neighbors, but presumably. Well, like Mr. Reid, I did have an issue with the soft landscaping, which is really, really, really small. I had a concern about the two-story garage, which one would think that if it was lower, you'd at least get some sunlight from the west, but this takes away. The atrium itself, I do not have any issue with. I think it's quite a tasteful, interesting way of putting on an extension that is in a gigantic singular block. It actually is translucent and therefore allows light to pour through. So I think there are, on some aspects, I think I'm quite fine with the application, but there are other issues that as I mentioned, I'm not too comfortable with. On the south side, there's absolutely no issue. It's a huge parking lot or parking space, so there's nobody directly impacted on the south side. So I have reservations. I see positives in this one, but I also see a few negatives that I'm not too comfortable with.
Thank you for that. And from my own point of view, as I read the written submissions and listen to the oral submissions, my sense is that this is not desirable. It in various points of view, it does represent overbuild to me, and I can see adverse impacts coming out of it. So I wouldn't be supporting it. Is anyone ready with a motion? Mr. Reid, please go ahead.
I'll try. We'll see what happens. For the reasons I raised before, I move that this proposal be rejected. The variances be rejected. I do want to make a note, though. I think that it's close to being a desirable application. I think it's just a bit too much, and I think that small changes could make this a supportable application. But for the moment, I move refusal of the application.
Thank you. And that is seconded by Ms. Chan. So moved and seconded.
Can I also add a comment why I support that? And I think that
I'm sorry, Ms. Chan. Are you, Ms. Chan? Just, Ms. Chan, are you seconding the motion or are you making a comment?
yes, I'm seconding it, but can I also add a comment?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my comment is this. Sorry, very quick. That I agree with the analysis of Peter, but I also think that the other reason is that because it's a very tight lot and it is also a semi-detached, and it's almost the site and from configuration gives you a hint that maybe the first floor should step back the addition. That's my comment. So I will second this motion.
Thank you. So, thank you. It is therefore moved and seconded to refuse the application. All those in favor of the motion, please show of hands. So the motion is carried and the application is thereby refused. And with that, the panel moves on to number 5.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, before we move on to item number 5, should we go back to item number 2?
I think you're quite right. Yes, I think it is time now, and that's a very good thing we should do. So if the panel remembers, and those watching, we did set aside application number 2, and if we can go back to that application, that applicant has had some time to consider options with respect to the soft landscaping issue there. So, moderator, are we able to go back to the applicant now on number 2?
Hi, good morning. It's back here. I'm asking to remove the variant number 1 and 2 because we already got the permit for the front walkout stair and the rear deck. And this has been revised site plan submitted to the city. And
Applicant?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That issue we had earlier with your voice being sort of clouded in fog, it's still there. So you're going to have to go very slowly, at least for me, to understand what you're saying and the direction you want to go. So if you don't mind, please start again and go very slowly. If you have any way of going to a different mic or something, that would help me out. But go ahead now.
Yeah, sorry, right now I don't have the mic. I'm asking to remove the item 1 and 2 from the variance.
Okay, just hang on a second then while we go back to that, and we'll carefully look after doing that. Okay, so your desire is to remove variances number 1 and 2?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, let's just make sure staff have captured that. Variance number 1 is eliminated at the request of the application, as is variance number 2. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have now an amended application to consider here. Is there anything further, applicant, you wish to inform the panel of?
Yes, we already have permit for the deck and the front stair, and the revised site plan has certified the landscape area, so we don't need this variant anymore.
I'm sorry, are you removing another variance?
No. We just remove those 2, yeah.
To just 1 and 2 you are removing, okay. Panel members, any questions? I'll see if the panel has any questions for you. Any questions of the applicant now? Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Just one, and it's not to do with, those amendments are fine. Looking at drawing number A202, that shows the side elevation of the rooftop deck. It is an extremely long deck. It's probably longer than the more than 50% of the length of the new proposed house. There's no screening on the sides, and I'm not sure the balcony on the terrace overlooks. But my thought would be that there should be some screening involved, because you do have a tremendous overlook on, presumably, I'm not sure what directions this would be. Would you be averse to that, putting a 1.5 meter screening on certainly the 2 sides of the deck?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, good.
That would, we'll add that as
1.5 meter screening both sides, okay. Okay, if there are no further questions for the applicant, we can take this amended application into committee for a motion.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. As part of the deputation by the applicant, I believe he raised that the garage has been removed. However, the site plan still shows an existing garage. And perhaps,
Right.
Will, if I can just have you present that site plan, and maybe the applicant can speak to that.
Let's put up the site plan. Applicant, okay. Yes, okay, applicant, here's the issue that the Deputy Secretary Treasurer has identified. The site plan that we are dealing with shows an existing garage.
Yes.
Is that garage,
we
is that
submitted-
garage, my question, is that garage already removed, or is it to be removed?
It's already removed, and we have submitted a revised survey to the committee. And in that survey, the garage no longer there. The existing garage was based on like the previous survey, an old survey. That's why it's showing there.
So then the drawing that we have, the site plan basically that we are dealing with is inaccurate.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, we just want to think if we can think of a way around this issue. That's a problem.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if there is no motion to tie the application to plans, then we shouldn't have an issue. The applicant can submit the revised site plan to us so that we have it on file. And then perhaps for the record, we can state in the minutes that the existing garage has been demolished.
Good way forward. Okay, panel, that sounds like a good way forward to me. We should be
And
careful
also,
not,
does that include
we should be careful not to tie,
removal?
we should be careful not to tie the, an application to approve, should we make one, to the plans. Ms. Chan, go ahead.
I just wonder whether also including the walkway is also being removed.
Did he say the walkway was removed also?
Yeah, I just want to know whether that is.
Okay, I wasn't clear that he had said that, so if he told us that the walkway and the garage have both been removed, then we can include that in the minutes. Okay, good. Okay, so we're dealing with an amended application. Anyone ready with a motion? Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go forward with this. I think this application is fine with the, as amended. The condition that we've added is that there be a 1.5 meter screening on both sides for the terrace. I think that, and I'm not sure if it should be tied to revised plans, did you say?
No, we're not tied to plans at all because we don't have the revised plans in our hands yet. So we're not going to tie to plans, but we're going to add a note. If I may make a suggestion here, we're going to add a note to the effect that the rear garage and rear walkway have been removed.
Excellent.
Okay.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, if the motion is to include tying to elevation plans, we could do that, just not the site plan, because the site plan is what's showing existing garage. But I just put that out there.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Do you see, get the gist of that, as I hear? Good idea.
Yes, absolutely. That would be fine.
Exclude the site plan from the drawings that we're, if you wish to tie it to plans.
That would be perfectly fine. I think it will work.
Good.
Okay, so for clarification then, the motion is the privacy screening tied to the elevation plans?
Correct.
And note that the garage and walkway in the rear are removed. And of course, the two variances, 1 and 2, are gone.
Removed.
Okay, then does that motion have a second? It is seconded, Mr. Reed. It is therefore moved and seconded to approve the application as we have just described. All those in favor, please, show of hands. And that motion is carried by a unanimous vote, and the application is thereby, the amended application is thereby approved. Thank you, panel, and thank you, applicant. Let's move on now to, we'll bounce back to our agenda and carry on with number 5. Number 5 is 228 Benson Avenue. On this application, committee has before it the following materials: those submitted at the time of application, plus there is correspondence from Transportation Services dated March 22. And we'll ask now the applicant to join us, please, by stating your name.
Mr. Chairs, so my name is Guanson Lin. You can call me Stephen. So I'm the applicant and agent for the address 228 Benson Avenue. So this project is a townhouse unit and townhouse unit. And we are going to propose a one-story rear addition, which is about 7 feet long. And on top of the addition, there's a rooftop balcony. In addition to these two things, there's a parking space being proposed at the end of the backyard due to the high demand of parking space in this region. This will help to eliminate the time for the owner to look for parking space and help reduce the demand of the street parking. So this application is pretty straightforward, and also the items too of the amendment is that to have a slightly bigger, smaller clearance between the neighbor due to the width of the lot is like naturally narrowed. So we kind of need that kind of smaller setback for the addition to accommodate adequate size of kitchen of the addition. So that's on my end of my presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay. Moderator, I understand there's someone standing by in interest.
Alina, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. My name is Alina Tran. I am the co-owner of a neighboring property, 230 Benson. So after receiving this notice, I just have two concerns, actually. One is with the proposed one-story rear addition and the distance between the walls. So as Stephen mentioned, based on the variance, the requirement is 2 meters. However, the actual distance is proposed to be 0.56, which is a 72% reduction, or 72% less than what the bylaw requires. So I'm concerned with this proximity as it limits our access to the wall and the ability to make repairs on the exterior wall should they be required in the future. And then also in the plans, I see that on the basement plans, there's proposed excavation. And again, due to the proximity, our concern is the potential impact on our home and foundation as well. I'm not sure how proper drainage and waterproofing is being taken into consideration. And the last item is the parking spot proposal. So what we have noticed is this has already been completed. I know the plans state that there's currently a shed there, but that has already been demolished and cars have been parking there. So I'm not sure if that is appropriate or not.
Thank you very much.
That is all on my end.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, any questions for the speaker? Not hearing any. Okay, thank you. Let's see what the applicant has to say with respect to your concerns. We'll go back now to the applicant who will have a chance to rebut.
Hi. So in terms of the drainage, I think it shouldn't be a problem because we would place the ribbon tiles around the footing, and we tied it to the original the drainage pipes. And for the repairs of the walls, I don't see any potential like problem of like having to have the wall fixed. And for the parking space that has already been done there, a project, right? I didn't know that before, but like at the time of submitting the proposal, but like I talked to the owner, and then he said he was just temporarily removing the fans at that location so that he can park his car there temporarily. If we didn't pass the committee of adjustment, he will restore the fence and make it back to what it was before. And if we get passed, he would just retain that parking space.
Thank you very much. Panel members, your opportunity to put questions to this applicant. Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of quick questions. Street view on Google Map, and I'm not sure how, how current this one is, but it looks like on the north side there's a laneway. Am I correct? And there's a garage at the back, but that's not your garage?
The laneway. Would you be able to show me that? Because I don't think we have a garage there. The garage there, the existing one was belonging to the neighbor, so it's not ours. Yeah. If you see any garage there.
Yeah, no, I figured that much, and I think what I see, and I don't know how old this image is, but it's what looks like a shed in the backyard, and presumably that's a shed that you're planning to remove.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Like I hear you said the shed. The shed, if you shed there, that was our shed. Yeah.
Okay, are you removing that shed?
It's already been removed.
It's been removed, and that's where the parking space is supposed to be.
Right. Yes.
Now, how is that going to impact whatever soft landscaping exists there?
Okay, so if you look at the survey that we submitted with the application, so the original or existing condition of the backyard is like concrete slab and pad. So we are going to change all of those into a grass landscaping, and that is a great improvement for the stormwater to take care of that.
Excellent. The only last question, if I may, the balcony that you are proposing on the top of the first, the addition,
right?
I think overlook your neighbor. Would you be okay with a 1.5 meter privacy screen on the west side?
Sure, that's totally no problem. We can do that.
Okay, then. I think we can take this up. Mr. Reed, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Just a more procedural thing. The purpose of the application says to alter the existing one-story townhouse, and I think that should say two-story. Just confirming that with the applicant.
Applicant?
One story, because like originally.
Applicant
yes,
somehow.
Sorry, sorry for it. It's a two-story, yeah.
Okay, we missed the beginning of that transmission. Do you mind answering the question again, please?
Yes, it is a two-story. I think that is it still one-story townhouse unit? Yeah, that is a two-story townhouse. Yes, I don't know why it says one there.
It says 2.5, but it's only a two-story. Is that correct?
Yes, two-story, I believe it is.
Could we put up the an elevation or some drawings that might help us determine whether we have a 2-story or a 2.5-story?
Through you, Mr. Chair, these are the elevations, and the survey that was submitted indicates this as being a 2-story brick dwelling.
Okay, so I have it from staff that it is a 2-story dwelling. We should correct, thank you, Mr. Reed, the purpose of the application to make it read, to alter the existing 2-story semi. Very good. Okay, anyone ready at this stage with a motion? Ms. Chan, go right ahead.
I have no problem with this proposal. I think it's very reasonable. And with the privacy screen on the west side, I think it is it will eliminate the overlook issue. So I move for approval with the amended clause and with no conditions.
Thank you. Seconded by Mr. Byatt. Moved and seconded to. Go ahead, Mr.
I think there is one condition. One condition being the screening, yes?
Yeah, yes, that's the west side, on the west side of the rear terrace, they call it terrace.
Right. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. We'll just wait a moment to make sure staff have that captured, and they do. So, is there a second to the motion, just to go back? Seconded, Mr. Byatt seconds. It is moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, please show hands. Votes unanimous, motion carries, application so approved. Thank you. Number 6 is 149 Hillsdale. On this application before us are submitted materials. There are presentation materials from the agent received April 4. There's a staff report from Urban Forestry and one from Transportation Services. And there is correspondence in support from 159 Hillsdale. Well, correspondence in opposition was received from 161 and 189 Hillsdale. So we'll ask the application or the applicant to join us now, please.
Good morning, committee member. My name is Har, and I'm presenting on behalf of the owner, 149 Hillsdale Avenue East.
Just a moment. Yes, we're going to see if the panel wants the presentation or has any questions for you. Panel members? Okay. Ms. Chan, go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Chan.
Yes, I do not know whether it's the right time to ask the question. Is it the urban forestry condition number 5 recommended refusal, right? It means that we can't approve.
Applicant?
Report. Yeah, it recommend the condition 5, which is I think it's a refusal to the application, isn't it not? Or so can you explain that, and can you also tell us what your response to that, or you have worked with Urban Forestry to resolve the issue?
I've been trying to contact them, and I emailed them. I haven't heard from them since then.
Okay. Are you, applicant, are you aware that the panel has before it a staff report from Transportation just from 4 or 5 days ago, March 28th, and in that Transportation staff report, Transportation recommends that we refuse it. They say they object to the application. The site plan proposal indicates a substandard front yard parking space As such, the parking space would be located within the municipal boulevard, which is regulated under Chapter 918. Are you aware of that, and what's your comment about that?
Okay, yeah. We got a building permit approved for our project for 149 Hillsdale. It was addition on the second floor and interior alteration. So the only space that the examiner would allow me to park, to propose a parking pad was in the back. But if you see like another, can you go on to the next slide, please? Next slide. Next slide. Sorry, there is a photo here. So we got the building permit issued. We started the construction, and the inspector told us the construction is almost done. The inspector told us, in order for me to close the permit, you need to show me a parking spot. And since, if you see this gate, it's an existing fence. It's an existing gate. It's not only for us, it's for our next door neighbor too. So we can't remove it in order for the car to move and park in the back. So the only place that we can park was in the front. We even asked for the street parking. The waiting list is 2 years, and even the inspector doesn't agree for the street parking. He wants a parking in front. He said, in order for me to close the permit, I need to see a parking. If you see the whole Hillsdale, most of, like the majority of the house, they park in the front. The interlock is already there. The only, the amount that we need to do paving is 1.4 meter extra. Our front house is already paved. It's an existing paving. You can see example for other neighbors, the neighbors in front of us, the one in the back. So I'm not sure why the transportation ministry, they just refused our proposal. Since like in this picture, you can see that it's already paved. We only need a small amount to extend that.
Question for you then. Okay, you're already paved, and under what authority are you paved?
We didn't do it. It was, we bought the house as it is. This house, you can see on the left side, it's an old house.
So
we didn't do the pave.
You didn't do the paving, it was already paved when you bought the house. Do you know whether so did the previous owner have to get a permit, do you know?
No, the previous owner didn't do it as well. This house, I think it was from 1980. It's a very old house. So, I mean, no one knows who did this. You can even check so the thing is, I mean, it's not fair for the owner that doesn't have even one parking spot to park. Everybody parks in the front. The only house that we can't, it's us.
We don't know what we understand that. We understand the situation. And how long did they tell you the on-street parking is allowed here? Do you have any idea how long it would take you to get on-street parking approved?
Yes. We already applied. It's going to take 2 years, and it's not guaranteed. 2 years we have to wait in the waiting list, and it's not guaranteed.
It's not what?
It's not guaranteed 100%.
It's not guaranteed. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Reed, question. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. There's two issues. One is with transportation, which was just addressed. The other one is urban forestry, which Yim brought up before. And the urban forestry report recommends that this application be refused because the tree will have to be removed. Is that correct, that the front yard tree that's existing there, that large tree, would be removed as part of this application?
No, that's incorrect. We're not going to remove anything. Actually, we're not even doing a paving. Everything is existing condition.
Okay, well, it's an expansion to an existing condition, right?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know what urban forestry is saying then? Because they say, have you read that? It says the parking space will be located in the front yard will require the removal of a healthy protected bylaw tree.
So I don't understand what they meant, because when you do paving, you only dig 6 inch. Only 6 inch to put a gravel and paving. That's it. We're not digging or we're not removing any tree. I tried to contact them. I haven't heard any word from them.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's look at the photo. Okay. Applicant, so I'm looking at this photograph now, and I don't see the tree. Is there a tree just
on the left side? You can see the tree. Yes. I have other pictures on my other slide. If you just allow me to show you the tree in the back, the very end slides. Slide number 12. Yeah. So the tree on the left and the tree on the right. The tree on the right is what the urban forestry is talking about.
Which property is
And
yours?
they're
Yours is the property on the left, correct?
No, we're the property on the right.
You're the right-hand
behind the tree. Yes. The first slide also is showing the existing and the new proposal. So if you go to the first slide, yes. So on the left, it's the existing design. On the right, we change everything. Like we change we turn it into stucco. We remove the front porch. So we're gonna add a softscape to it. So it's only a small landing and a stairs. The porch is almost 6 feet. So we removed already all the porch.
Okay, thank you. We understand. Okay. All right, any further questions, panel? Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question.
Mr. Byatt, we've lost your transmission.
It's not. So is the one. I beg your pardon. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we lost that entire transmission. Start again, please.
I'm sorry. The image that we were looking at of the house, if you can just go back to that image. My question, the existing parking pad that you have in use for quite a while, what's to prevent you from just continuing to use it as is without expanding it, without changing it?
We will be more than happy for not expanding anything, but as per the zoning, if I want to show a parking pad, it has to be 2.6 meter by 5.5 or 6 meter depth. But we don't mind not even touching the parking pad. We just want to park the car there. And our neighbor, if you see on the left, he already parked. And our car can fit easily to park in front. We don't even have to pave it.
Yeah. I think that the difficulty that certainly I find and my colleagues, I think, also may be finding is that we have before us.
We've lost you, Mr. Byatt.
I'm sorry, I'm really having issues today with the tech. I think the forestry condition is one that really presents a problem for us, and as well as transportation saying, they object. And this is all if I just continued parking there, what?
We've lost you, Mr. Byatt. I'm sorry.
And just apply for a parking until it arrives. And I'm sorry again. I think. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear me now, but
we're only getting about 40%.
I'll just stop.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Bayet, perhaps what could help is when you're speaking, maybe turn off your video, and then that'll help the bandwidth. And then after you're done speaking, then you can turn your video back on.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
We hear you clearly now, yeah.
My picture's the problem.
We lost you again.
Vince is brought forward to the committee.
Okay, Mr. Bayet.
It's okay, Mr. Chair.
I think
I'll just skip.
Yeah, I think please do that because we're only getting 40%. Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Yes, maybe I can continue. I actually do have the same issues, and I think that both of the issues seem to be small from the perspective of the applicant. But I think that maybe a deferral will work better for her, because given the information we have in front of us, I do not think we can approve either of them. First of all, this front yard parking. Is partly the property is partly city's property, first of all, and also the tree issues. Although she says you cannot contact urban forestry, but they do issue a report to us saying that is a very large tree might be in danger. Maybe the paving is considered to be too close to the tree. We do not know. I think she has to resolve these issues. And then maybe we should wait for further discussions, or whether you can bring some other proposal up. A deferral works better, I think.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Reid, any thoughts, Mr. Reid, or is anyone ready with a motion? I happen to agree with this concern. We have both transportation and forestry reports. We know that they issue reports with great care, so I don't think we can in conscience simply override them. Anyone ready with a motion? Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Should we go for deferral as they come back, or just refuse? What do you think?
Mr. Reid, go ahead.
Yeah, I would support a deferral. I think that the applicant may find a way in working with urban forestry to find a solution, particularly with that added space they've gained with the porch being removed. But yeah, I can't support it as it stands now. So I think a deferral. I would support a deferral. Yeah.
So I will vote for a deferral, so that for the applicants to work with both transportation and for urban forestry to find some solution.
Is there a second? It is seconded, Mr. Reid. So moved and seconded to defer in order to allow the applicant to confer with both transportation and urban forestry for a solution. All those in favor, please show of hands. And that vote is unanimous. It carries the motion, and the application is thereby deferred. Thank you, panel. Number 7 is 42 Clarendon. And on this application, the only materials before the panel are those submitted at the time of application, plus one piece of written correspondence in support from Farah Hussein at number 40 Clarendon, which sounds like it's the house next door. Let's have the applicant join us, please, by stating your name.
Stephanie, you've been unmuted.
Hi, my name is Stephanie at 11 Watkinson. I represent.
Good morning to you.
Avenue.
Oh, yeah, we do hear you clearly. Good morning, Stephanie. Okay, I'm going to check with my panel
Good morning.
colleagues to see if any of them have questions they'd like to put to you. Panel members? Not hearing any. Oh, Ms. Chan has a question, and Mr. Bayet to follow. Go ahead, Ms. Chan.
Yeah, this is a very small. On the site plan, you have a new driveway. I just would like to know, your new driveway is going to be permeable material?
The drive will be constructed with pavers.
But these pavers are permeable or?
No, they're not considered permeable pavers.
They are not
Will
considered
you
permeable?
My question is, if they're new, would you, right, if we put a condition on that this material should be permeable? It's quite a large area, it's a new driveway.
Yes, we can work with our landscape architect to ensure that the materials selected are considered semi-permeable or permeable.
Permeable.
Permeable. The question is permeable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Byatt, your question?
Just the variant number 4, could you just speak to that?
It's number 4. Okay, so regarding the landscaping.
That's right.
So the intent of the reconstruction of the driveway is just to refinish the materials that are existing. We're not considering changing the condition at all. We are removing a planter that is being and our shared neighbor to the west, simply to create better access to the attached garage of the building. And in that sense, because we are reconstructing the surfacing of the driveway, we have a variance here.
So it's very much an existing situation.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
An existing situation?
Yes.
Applicant, okay. Existing situation, we understand that. Here's an opportunity, though. An opportunity to improve the situation. Is there anything, we are concerned about, at least I am concerned about that variance, because basically you're coming in at with 37% where 75 is required. Is there anything you could possibly do to improve that percentage?
Yes. So the current conceptual landscape plan that our landscape architect has come up with is to replace that built-in planter with planting at grade, just to provide some separation with our shared neighbor there. Time of our application, the schematic design had been fleshed out yet, but we to have some sort of planting to create some delineation between the two driveways.
Okay.
Sorry.
Would that, sorry, Chair, if I may,
Go ahead.
would that have any, would that change anything as far as the soft percentage is concerned?
I imagine that it will increase the soft landscaping percentage as we are introducing some in it will be at grade, so there.
Yeah, if it's going to be increased, can you give us a number that we might work with?
I can't give you a number at the moment.
Well, we can give you some time. We can set the application aside, and we'll go ahead to the next application, and we'll come back to you. And in a few minutes, we'll return to you. That'll give you some time to get your thoughts together and do your calculation.
Sure, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, then. We are going to set aside number 7 and return to it in order to give the applicant an opportunity to think through options. And we'll go on to number 8. So number 8 is 271 Willow Ave. On 271 Willow, the panel has before it the following materials, those submitted at the time of application, plus there is comment from City Planning in the form of email correspondence. Let's have the applicant join us, please.
Morning, Stephen King.
Okay. And on this application, there's just one minor variance proposed. Panel members, any questions or anyone ready with a motion? Mr. Bike, go ahead.
A question, Chair?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to turn the video off. To the new balcony terrace that you're building, will there be social direction to an immediate neighbor that might be of concern?
There is overlook to the south, but the planner has recommended a 1.5 meter privacy screen, so we're in agreement with that, with the 1.5 meter.
Excellent.
On the south.
Oh, thank you. That would be my question. Thank you so much.
And applicant, is that 1.5 meter privacy screen reflected? Let's pull up the elevation for the rear. Is that reflected in the drawings that we have?
No, it's not. That comment came in after.
Okay, so it's perhaps something that we should add as if we were considering an approval. Okay. Any further questions? And applicant, just while we're on that topic, would the screening be on both sides or just on one side? Could you tell us what directions they are? Like, is it north and south or east and west?
It's just the south, I think. That's all that's being asked for by the planner, so I think that's all that's required.
Yeah, it's the south side only.
Okay, very good. All right then. Anyone ready with a motion? Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Yeah, I think with the privacy screen I think is a good idea. It's on the south side of the rear deck, rooftop deck. With that condition, I would like to move for approval. I don't think there's any other conditions.
Thank you. And that is seconded by Mr. Byatt. So moved and seconded to approve the application with that reference to privacy screening. All those in favor, please, show of hands. Okay, we have a little issue here. Mr. Reed, you'll have to, we've lost your video, so you'll have to state your vote. Okay, we've lost Mr. Reed, so we're just going to pause for a second here and see what we can do.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we could probably just mark Peter Reed as absent for this item.
Okay.
Because you do have quorum.
We do have a, oh, there he is, okay. Peter, we lost you for a few moments. Okay, so let's do the vote again now that you're back. We have a motion carried to approve. All in favor, please, show of hands. And that vote is unanimous with the entire panel to approve, and it's carried. So, very good. And let's give the applicant on number 7 a little more time. We'll go on to number 9, and then return after number 9 to number 7. So number 9 is 76 Winona Drive. Here we are looking at submitted materials. There's a tree protection plan. There is a revised tree protection plan from March. There are further presentation materials from March 29. There's a staff report from Urban Forestry. And there are 9 form letters in support. These from owner occupants at 66, 68, 72, 74, 78, and 80 Winona, and from 243, 247, and 248 Tyrrell. Let's have the applicant join us, please.
Hello.
Hi there, state your name, please.
Hello, this is Jim Clark. I live at 18 Coconut Avenue in Toronto, and I'm the agent in 76 Willow.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Hello, James. Can you just speak a little bit louder into your electronics?
How does this sound?
Much better, thank you.
That is better, thank you. Okay, James, just stand by. I'm going to see if any of my panel member colleagues would like to have a presentation or to put questions to you. No presentation requested. Any questions for the applicant panel? Okay, there are no questions. Oh, Mr. Reed, go ahead.
Sure. I guess just to clarify, Urban Forestry did have a concern about the pathway location, and I noticed that the applicant had altered that, altered the location of the front pathway to respond to that. So I appreciate that, and just wanted to know if the applicant had anything further to add in that regard.
Well, the original pathway comes under the heading, "What was I thinking?" So I was totally delighted to move the pathway. I have no desire to harm any tree.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Byatt.
Chair, if there are no other questions or concerns, you prepared to go forward with the motion?
Go ahead, please.
I'd like to move approval. I think the only condition that we have is forestry, and I believe it's forestry 1, which may have already been addressed. Apart from that condition, I'd like to move forward with the motion to approve.
Thank you very much. Looking for a second on that motion. It is seconded by Mr. Reed. Therefore, moved and seconded to approve. Subject to forestry. Those in favor, please show of hands. Vote unanimous, motion carried, application is approved. Thank you. At this moment, then, we shall return to number 7, 42 Clarendon, which we set aside, and we'll see what thoughts that applicant has now. Applicant, join us, please.
So I was able to calculate the additional area of the additional soft landscaping that we're providing, and it will provide a total of 12.2 meters squared versus the original proposed of 8.2 meters squared.
Just let's go very slowly here, because it sounds like we're going to be amending the application. So I want to be absolutely sure that we are amending it correctly. So just a second.
Yes.
Okay, so which variants are we talking about, and what are the new numbers?
It is item 4.
Item 4.
And the original 8.2 meters squared will now be amended to 12.2 meters squared.
Very good. And what will the percentage read?
Let me just do that math very quickly.
Okay, applicant, are you working on that calculation?
I am, sorry.
Take your time, take your time.
So I believe the new percentage will be 45%.
Say again slowly, please. 40.
45%.
45.
Correct.
4500, okay, 45%. Thank you for that. And so now applicant, just let me ask you about the site plan, therefore. The revision you've made here, the amendment to that variance, that's going to make it so the site plan needs to be revised, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay, okay. Okay, panel. The applicant has amended variance number 4 to read 45%, 12.2 meters squared. And that does impact the site plan drawing, so we'd have to be careful not to tie for example, a motion to approve to the site plan. Anyone with questions for the applicant or comments to make? Ms. Chan, go ahead.
With this amendment, I think it's a great improvement, but I'd like to put a condition on that. So in the front yard, the new paved area to be of permeable material. That's the condition I'd like to put in. Otherwise,
Okay, so you're making that motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion for approval with that condition and the amended variance number 4.
Very good, okay. Is there a second to that motion? It is seconded, Mr. Reed. So the amended application, there's a motion to approve it, which has been seconded. All those in favor, please, show of hands. Vote is...
With the condition with the paved area, including the walkway, these are new paved areas in the front to be permeable material.
Permeable, yes. I'll just check with staff. Yep, nope. Staff are right on top of it, and that's how it will read. That vote was unanimous to carry the motion, and the application is thereby approved. So thank you, panel, and thanks, applicant. That moves us along to, we jump forward again to number 10. And on number 10, the address that we are dealing with is 34 Aldwich Ave. And on this application, the materials that we're looking at are these. We have those submitted at the time of application. There is a 2017 Committee of Adjustment decision which affected that property. And there are 2 pieces of correspondence written in support. One from 29, the other from 32 Aldwich. So let's have the applicant join us.
Good afternoon, members of committee. It's Ryan Hoyer, agent for the applicant.
Good afternoon to you. Good morning to you. Oh. Good morning to you. Okay.
Good morning.
Okay. Panel members, on this application, are there any questions for the applicant? I have one question, applicant, just to clarify my thought. The 2017 decision, I'm correct, am I not? It allowed for an FSI of 82, where 75 was the maximum. Does your current application alter that FSI?
So the walkout basement probably changed that.
Could you explain that a little bit more, please?
Okay. What is the difference you have in front of you? You're questioning on the FSI.
My question is simply this. The 2017 decision allowed 82. Is your current application taking it beyond 82?
We are asking for variance number. Can you scroll up? 75. No, we don't. We don't go past the 82.
Okay, thank you. Okay, panel, if there are no further questions, we can take this one into committee, I think, for moving toward a motion. Mr. Reed, please go ahead.
Chair, if I may just ask a quick question.
Go ahead. Just a moment, Mr. Reed.
The balcony. Oh, sorry, Mr. Reed.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to move a motion, but go ahead, Zahir.
Yeah, just a quick question. There's a balcony on the second floor. No indication whether it's going to be screened, and I think the
So here you should turn off your video. You are freezing.
Lots.
And not
screen. Sorry about that. Just a question around the privacy screen on the balcony. I believe it may be the east and west sides of the balcony on the second floor.
Yeah, we can provide that if necessary.
Okay. Let's go back to Mr. Reed.
I was going to move a motion if people are ready for that.
We are.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is a very reasonable application. The additions being contemplated are quite small, and the variances that are associated with them are also small. I think Zahir's point is a good one, so I move approval of the application subject to the second floor balcony being constructed with privacy screening on the east and west sides.
Thank you very much. Second to that motion, Mr. Byatt. It is therefore moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, please show of hands. And that's a unanimous vote. It carries the motion, and the application is so approved. At this stage, panel's been on the go for a couple of hours plus, so we are going to recess for a 10-minute break, and we'll come back in 10 minutes. That should be about 8 minutes to 12. 10-minute recess. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for coming back. We resume, and we continue with item number 11, 31 Victor Avenue. On 31 Victor, committee has before it submitted materials. There's a photograph of the property. There are staff reports. There's a staff report from Urban Forestry. And there is correspondence in opposition from 33 Victor, which would probably be the house next door, from Lois Kunkel and John Alpheus. Received April the 3rd. So let's have the agent join us, please, by stating your name.
Sarush, you've been unmuted.
Perfect. My name is Sarush Kalustian.
Good afternoon to you. Good morning still. Good morning to you. Very good. Panel members, any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair, if I may, before we get into any discussions, I just want to clarify something in regards to the project.
Go ahead.
The description on the application, the description on the application's website is actually incorrect. It should state the following: to alter existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by adding second-story rear addition.
Let's go slowly. It's quite a big change. Okay, so just a second. To alter the... Okay.
To alter existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by adding second-story rear addition.
Thank you. Let's just make sure that...
I don't mind giving a brief history and a description.
I'm going to ask you just to hang on, if you would, applicant. Just stand by for a moment while we sift what you've done with respect to the change in the purpose of the application. And we just have to satisfy ourselves that that makes sense to us as well. So just stand by. Okay, well, I want to ask you this then. With your change to your amended purpose, are you no longer asking for a rear basement walkout with stairs and a rear covered terrace?
Mr. Chair, we already had a permit issued for all that on July 12, 2022. So what happened was during construction, we decided for various reasons, which I can explain, to add an extension to the second story, which wasn't part of the initial permit. So we're here today to asking for that second story extension. So I think there's a bit of a confusion on this application. So I think I need to give a brief history so the committee and any neighbor can have an understanding.
Go ahead, please.
Sorry,
All right.
through you, Mr. Chair. We have a registered
At the
speaker.
beginning,
Just a moment, applicant. Stanley?
We have a registered speaker, so we may need a presentation.
Okay. We do have a registered speaker, quite right. So go ahead and present your application to the panel.
All right. So at the beginning of last year, we made a building permit application for a full renovation and rear addition to the ground floor and basement level. We also added a driveway entering into a garage at the front. All of what we had proposed was within the bylaw and did not require minor variance at the time. And that is why on July 12, 2022, we got our building permit issued. During construction, the homeowner, Pat, told me that his mother will be moving in with them. So he decided to add a fourth bedroom, which resulted in extending the rear of the second floor. So once we made this revision and applied for a zoning notice, The zoning notice came back with one variance stating that the FSI will be 0.84 times the area of the lot. At that point, we submitted the Committee of Adjustment. A month later, on December 29, 2022, the Committee of Adjustment technician sent us an email stating that the bylaw has now changed, which could impact your application. So we decided to go back to the zoning examiner and get an updated zoning notice. So it turns out that the new bylaw now includes our basement as part of the FSI calculation. This obviously drove the FSI number from 0.84 to 1.16. But even so, with this new FSI, planning staff had no objection to our proposal since we are not setting any new precedent in the area. Most of the existing homes with this new bylaw in place already have an FSI over what we are asking. So once again, I want to make it clear that this application is for the second-story rear extension only. I hope this clears things up, and I believe this application is a fair one. And I believe the variance is pretty clear as to what we're asking for. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Let's see. Are there any questions, panel, at this stage? Mr. Byatt, please go ahead.
Chair, I was just wondering if the applicant can tell me if there, in one of the, I think it was the letter of concern or opposition, I'm not sure which, that there was a stop work order. Is there such a thing, or no stop work order has been issued?
Not that I know of, no, from the building department, or I don't think there's a stop order. I did notice that there is a, from Urban Forestry, request for an application. So I don't know if there's anything relating to that. But we have no objections to that. We've already hired an arborist, and we are in process of making an application if needed.
Thank you.
There is a speaker standing by, and this speaker also submitted a written submission. So let's go now to that speaker who's standing by.
My name is John Olthius, and as noted with my wife Lois Kunkel, we live at 33 Victor Avenue, which is immediately to the east of 31.
Go ahead, John.
As the agent said, the property is actually semi-detached. It is not detached. And when the permits were issued, we thought, okay, there's no public hearing, so that means that what is being proposed must be within the existing bylaw. But as construction progressed, we thought this is not the case. This is a much bigger construction than we anticipated, and it extends into the backyard much greater and much higher than we had been told. We did then contact the city, and I'll read from what was the response was. Thank you for reaching out. Notice is only required where a building goes to the Committee of Adjustment. In this case, it appears the work does not require any variances. And so we thought, well, that is very strange. A number of the neighbors had called the city, and building inspectors came out, and it was very puzzling that it did not appear, although I don't have any actual documentation of that, that what was being constructed was not within the permit. So construction continued, and it was the great distress to the woman in the adjoining house at 29 who has dementia, and the adjoining wall was exposed. A tenant could not use that bedroom for their child. There was the heating bills were enormous, and so on. So now we have an application for a variance that's double the size from 0.06 to 1.16 times the area. And that is consistent with what we've observed in terms of the actual construction. In addition to that reality, and that's not a minor variance when you're asking for double the floor space that is permitted under the bylaw. When finally the variance was applied for, we assumed that there would be, the notice came out on March the 24th. We assumed there would be stop construction. And that hasn't happened. Construction has continued. The structure is the basic structure, which will be converted when the interior work is done, is now double the bylaw. And retroactively, after the construction was completed, there's an application for a variance. We think this is wrong. The addition at the back is basically 3 stories. It's not 2 stories. It extends well into the back. It's within 2 meters of our beech tree and the excavation. It endangers the roots of that tree, and the inspector came out last week. And so this is, we're very concerned about how this could happen, how construction could continue on a renovation that was actually double the size, floor space wise, of what the permit authorized. And only now, after it's done, not before. There was no request for variance before the construction was done. It's only now after construction is done.
I'll need your final comment now, John.
We think that's wrong, and it should be refused.
Thank you. Okay. Panel members, any questions for the speaker? So, John, just to clarify, you looked at the construction, and you mentioned you had no documentation. So, are you certain that the construction that took place is, as you're referring to it, double what was permitted? By the applicant did have a permit. Are you sure that he had built beyond what the permit permitted?
Well, the application for the variance is, the application is that the maximum permitted floor space index is 0.6 times the area of the lot for a 155.78 m squared. The altered dwelling will have a floor space index equal to 1.16 times the area of the lot, which is 301.2 m squared. And we were told that when we saw what was happening and approached the city, we were told that the permit was within in the bylaw, namely 0.6 times the area of the lot. And it's turned out that now, after the building is constructed, they're applying for a variance to retroactively approve double the floor space.
Okay, thank you. All right. I do understand now, so thank you very much. Okay. And just for those watching, well, we're not sure. In this case, there was a building permit, so we're not being asked to consider a situation in which there was no permit. We'll get a little clarification on this. So let's go back to the applicant now, who can refer to the comments of the speaker we just heard in rebuttal, and you'll have 5 minutes to do that. Applicant, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I just do want to clarify that any construction that's been happening on site right now is as per the initial permit issued. We are now, when we originally made the new application for a minor variance, it was at 0.84 times the area of the lot, like I mentioned. But because the bylaw changed and is now including the basement into the FSI, yes, it seems to be very high, but in reality, above grade, what we are proposing is setting no precedent in the area. There are multiple houses that not only have a 2-story rear extension like what we're proposing, but also have 3 stories, a 3rd story. So any of the houses now on this property or in this area, if they were to go to make any alteration, it would fall under the same FSI situation that we are, which will highly be way over 1 or 1.16 of what we're asking for.
Your building permit provided for the 0.84, is that correct?
Yes, the 0.84 was what the application that we are making now, which was extending the 2nd story towards the rear. That original notice came up to 0.84 with the old bylaw, but now that the bylaw changed, the FSI is including the basements area as part of it. That's why it jumped to 1.16. We're not actually really
I understand that.
Having a huge ask. Yeah.
I understand that part. I'm just trying to get a sense of what the building permit that you have and built on allowed for. And
it was under 0.6. It was about 0.6 times the area.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Panel members, other questions? Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Chan.
I'd like to. Just a clarification. You declared that because of the change of bylaw, the basement is considered to be part of the FSI. Are you sure of that, or when the initial permit, the basement extension is included? You mean that at that time it was not considered, or did you go through a zoning review for the initial permit?
Yes, for the initial permit, we went through a zoning certificate process. We got the zoning certificate and applied for a building permit.
And then at that time, you already proposed a basement dwelling, right?
Well, not just the basement extension, correct? It was already there.
But not a basement apartment, is it? I don't understand why you said that the change of bylaw will then now include the basement.
Well, that's the zoning notice that came back. That's what it says. It says now the FSI is including the basement, and therefore it went up to 1.16. Unfortunately.
Let me ask you this question.
The previous.
So, if that change had not taken place, the existing construction that the neighbor has referred to that exists, that construction represents an FSI of less than 0.6. Is that what you told me?
Correct.
So the existing construction, if the definition hadn't changed, represents less than 0.6. Okay.
Correct.
Other questions, panel? Okay. Hearing no further questions, I think we can take this application into committee for discussion and for, if we need it, to discuss or to move to a motion. Mr. Reed, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Chair. I feel comfortable with this application. I think that there's the only one variance being requested, and it's FSI. There's no variance requested for height, depth, side yard setback, rear yard setback, those kind of things. And I think to me that speaks to the potential impact of this. And additionally, the additional FSI is largely a technicality in my mind because of the basement being counted. So I'm happy to move approval of this application with the amended purpose and subject to urban forestry condition 1.
Is there a second to that motion? It is seconded, Mr. Byatt. So moved and seconded to approve the amended application. Those in favor, please, show of hands. And that vote is unanimous. It carries the motion. The application is so approved. Panel moves along to number 12, 11 Wallington. Here we have those materials submitted. We have revised site plans, floor plans, 29 March. Revised zoning waiver, 29 March. And a cover letter from the agent, March 30. There is a staff report from Transportation Services. Okay, let's have the applicant join us, please, by stating your name.
Natasha, you've been unmuted. Please unmute your device.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Hello, state your name, please.
Hello, my name is Natasha Cricken, architect. I'm the agent for the owners at 11 Wallington Avenue.
You have 5 minutes to make your presentation. Natasha, go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So this is a fully detached house. It was built circa 1966. There's currently an unfinished basement with an integrated garage and a legal driveway. There's a legal parking spot and a parking permit. It is an asphalt front yard, and there are curb cuts. We have been in addition with the city community planning staff and with transportation services, and have since made improvements to the site plan. The site plan soft landing. The existing parking pad will be relocated with permeable pavers. We have applied for a landscape permit as per Transportation Services request or their condition of approval of the variance. And we're providing 20% soft landscaping. The final, the permit will, or the, we have applied for building permits, and we are proposing a 2-bedroom basement secondary suite. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, does that mean that Natasha is amending variance number 1? Because right now it reads 0%.
Question, that was a question for you, applicant.
Hello, Natasha? Can you hear us?
Natasha?
Variance 1 to provide that it states. Hello?
Hello, Natasha, you should know, we lost you there for about 10 or 15 seconds, so everything you said recently we didn't hear. There was a question for you. Did you hear that question? It relates to variance number 1.
Hi there, I was muted.
Okay,
Hello?
Natasha, we have not heard anything you've said for the last half a minute or so. So right now we do hear you. Would you confirm you can hear me, please?
I can hear you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it appears that we're having some technical issues hearing Natasha. Perhaps maybe we can move on to item number 13. We'll contact Natasha, and then we can come back to item 12.
Thank you. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 13. We shall return to number 12 once they've established a nice clean contact. On number 13, there is a request to defer, so let's have the applicant join us, please.
Theodore from MHBC, registered professional planner, representing the owner.
Very good. Okay. You are Eldon Theodore, correct?
I am, yes.
I missed it. When you came in, Eldon, we just missed the first little bit. So, okay, Eldon, if you could explain to the panel, please, why you are asking for a deferral of consideration for this application.
Absolutely. My client has been in conversations with the abutting neighbor to the west at 23 SPARKHALL related to concerns of overlook and privacy. And we are working with their agent, Mr. Craig Race, to find a solution to that. That may result in modifications and possibly removal to some of the variances. And we've had discussions with planning staff as well on the same. And planning staff in their report have indicated that they're supportive of a deferral to continue conversations to improve the application. So we respectfully request that the committee consider and approve this request, as we believe it will result in an approved application coming back to this committee.
Okay, so that's important. We would want to see it result in a situation in which, when it returned to committee, it was not the same application. It represented the result of consultation and was less severe than it stands now. But I think we have some speakers standing by who have patiently waited to speak. Is that correct, moderator?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I have attempted to contact Craig Race by phone and email, but I cannot get a hold of him, but the second speaker is on standby.
She's standing by. Well, let's have that speaker join us then, please.
Nancy, you've been unmuted.
Oh. Hold on.
Hello, state your name, please.
Today, because I wasn't sure about my whether I was going to be able to participate, but I guess I can.
Just a second.
So I had.
Just a second. I'm sorry. We didn't get your transmission for most of what you've just said, so we have to go back to the beginning. Could you state your name, please?
Nancy Miller.
Okay, Nancy. Nancy, here's the situation. The applicant has made a request to have the application deferred, which means it would come up at a future Committee of Adjustment hearing for consideration. The applicant has stated that the reason for doing that is a serious one. They want to work with the immediate neighbors to address the concerns that they've heard from those neighbors and to work out an improved application that has better support. Now, where is your address at 14 Bain? Where is that related to the subject property?
So I am opposite the property on the laneway, so I can see the house from my house.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The panel will make this decision ultimately, but would you be in favor of allowing a deferral, or would you rather want the panel to go ahead and to consider the application as it was distributed and as it stands today?
Well, I would say if the neighbors at 23 SPARKHALL are amenable to the deferral, then I would certainly be amenable. I have great concerns about the application regardless of deferral, because this is an after the fact request. Everything was built without permits, without proper consultation.
Okay.
I don't expect that they will be able to really come to an agreement, but if the neighbors are willing to defer, I'm not going to object.
Okay, that's what I wanted to determine, so thank you for that. I'm going to go back now to the panel, who will make the decision on whether to go ahead now or whether to allow a deferral. Okay, panel members, there's the information for you. Request to defer. Anyone ready with a motion one way or the other? Mr. Reid, please.
Thanks, Chair. I think deferral sounds very reasonable in this situation, given that both the two main affected parties are seemingly willing to find an improved application. So I move that this application be deferred.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please, Mr. Chairman? So it's a little bit complicated now, right? Because as it claimed, this has already been built. So what kind of improvement, can I ask the applicant, what kind of improvement that the committee can expect for deferral? What kind of work? The site work or the actual building? Can the applicant clear that for us, please?
Good point. That to be, I guess in the case of deferral, that would be determined and might involve, well, I'm not going to guess, but your point is well taken. Again, is there a second for Mr. Reid's motion or not? Okay, I'm not seeing a second to Mr. Reid's motion. So, Mr. Byek, go ahead, your thoughts. You're going to have to...
I certainly would be in favor of seconding, but I also had a similar question. Are we looking at construction that's already been done rather than construction to be done? So it somehow it almost feels like an after-the-fact request, which makes me a little uncomfortable from the perspective of the neighbors. We're trying to fix something that's already been built. So yeah, I'd be happy to give them a deferral, but I'd also like to understand, has this construction been completed and now we're going backward?
I think if you like, panel.
Yes, I like to make that same request from the applicant. What I mean is that they claim that they're going to work on some kind of improvement. And I just like to know what area of improvement in terms of what can be changed, given that it's completed. Yeah.
Let's return to the applicant. I'm going to say we come out of committee now for a moment. We'll go back to the applicant, and I understand your concern very clearly. Let's see what the applicant has to say with respect to this, and maybe that'll give us some clarity about what the intention is here. Okay, so we're going back to the applicant now.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to respond. The committee is correct and the resident is correct. This is an after-the-fact application, and there is a component of this that is constructed. And what we are currently in discussions with the neighbor, and you'll see in your package, there includes a submission from Mr. Craig Race representing the neighbor, indicating that they're supportive of the deferral as well. We provided to the neighbor options to further enhance screening. We've been in discussions with planning staff about options to increase the amount of soft landscaping on the site, and options around perhaps modifications to the open platform. So those are all components that we put forward. We can't guarantee how that's going to end up because part of it needs support from the neighbors. So that's the conversations we're having. They're meaningful changes that will happen on the site that will require adjustments from what currently exists in the condition today.
My question to you, applicant, is this. Well, what you said is fine, but, you know, you would have to be open in this case to, as the order to comply indicates, you would have to be open to the possibility of removing something that's already been constructed or elements of it. Are you willing to consider
That's correct,
removing
Mr.
things
Chair,
that have been
and that is
constructed?
on the table.
Okay.
Yes,
Fine,
that is on
okay.
the table.
So there
We're
needs to-
talking about actual modifications.
There needs to be a willingness to do that. Okay, let's go back into committee then. So there it is, panel. You've heard it from the applicant. There is a willingness there to remove things that have been constructed to get to this solution. So now perhaps we're better equipped to move toward a motion. One way or the other. Anyone ready with a motion on the deferral request? Mr. Byatt? Mr. Byatt, you might want to turn off your video.
Thank you. Mr. Reid's already got a motion on the floor. So if Mr. Reid is willing to have that stand, I'll be happy to be the seconder.
Excellent. Okay, so there we are. Mr. Reid does have a motion, which I had forgotten. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Reid's motion is now seconded by Mr. Byatt to defer. All those in favor of a deferral of this motion, please show of hands. Mr. Byatt, there you are. Okay, so that is a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
The motion is
Can we put
carried.
a condition, Mr. Chair, can we put a condition so that we expecting some improvement on the site, the soft landscaping? That's what he said he will do.
That wasn't Mr. Reid's motion. I think we have to, that would involve reopening the motion, going back and, no, I think we don't do that because the motion was moved, seconded, and that comes too late. The motion as originally stated and seconded is what was just approved.
So I think it's just a condition.
Okay. Let's move on to,
Through you, Mr. Chair, perhaps we can go back to item number 12 if we have Natasha.
very good. Thanks. We will go back to number 12 now.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're with the panel. State your name again, please.
My name is Natasha Krickham. I'm an architect and agent.
Very good, Natasha. Okay. So we're back to you now. And we had given you some time there. So where do you stand now on your application?
Through you,
We
Mr.
would like
Chair.
to amend.
Yes, and Natasha had to confirm if she was amending variance number 1 to 20% at 6.2 square meters. Natasha, is that correct?
I'm confirming. That is correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good, okay.
And that's the only amendment today, right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. Just stand by. So panel, on item number 12, 11 Wallington, variance number 1 now reads 20% of the required front yard landscaped? Just 0 becomes 20, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, variance number 1 will read 20% at 6.2 square meters.
Very good, okay. So there's the change, panel. So, panel members, any questions for the applicant? Mr. Reid, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Just checking on the driveway. I think I heard before you said it was an asphalt driveway, and I'm assuming it's being repaved with pavers. Are you open to having permeable pavers for your new driveway?
So we are proposing permeable pavers, and we have submitted a landscape permit to Transportation Services showing permeable pavers.
Okay, great. And you saw Transportation's report and suggested conditions. Are you okay with those?
We are absolutely okay, and we have applied for the landscape permits. I've spoken to Blake in person yesterday with the drawings and permit application.
Great, thanks.
Okay, panel. Let us take the application then into committee.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have a registered speaker.
We do have a registered speaker that's, okay. Oh, okay. Before I thought we couldn't raise that speaker, but perhaps I'm mixing one application with another. Let's go ahead with this, with the person standing by, please.
Gina? Can you hear me?
Yes, we do hear you, but we missed the first part. Please state your name.
Sure. My name is Mobina Gina, and I and my husband are, we live on at 9 Wallington. We are the next door, and we live in a bungalow at 9 Wallington.
Okay, good.
Although on the plan it shows as a 2-story house, we are a bungalow. This is not in opposition to the apartment in the basement. It's just a concern. You know, we've lived here for the last 20 years with only 2 or 4 people living there in the past. With addition of the basement unit and turning the building into a rental unit, into rental units, more people will be living there. And the basic concern is noise and privacy, because also our bedroom windows face the side door, and also the lane is pretty narrow. So the basic concern is, number one, noise and privacy. Secondly, the furnace and the laundry vents have been shifted to the side opposite our windows. The steam from these vents affect the people walking past, and I was just wondering, is that a concern? Should we be concerned about these? Because now that there will be more people living there, the vents are bigger for the appliances and for the furnace. Should we be at all concerned about these the steam coming from the vents? Okay. Those are the 2 concerns we have.
Okay, good. Panel, any questions? Panel questions here? Okay, let's then go back to the applicant, who will have a chance to respond in rebuttal. Natasha?
I'm Mubina. Hi there. Can you hear me?
We hear you, Natasha.
Yes, okay. Hi, Mubina. This is Natasha Cricken, the architect. How are you? I hope well. Okay, so there currently is one dryer and washer, which is in the basement, and it's relocated. It's being relocated. It's not a gas burning appliance. It's being relocated to under the stairs. And there will be one dryer and washer on the ground floor for the ground floor tenants. So I'm not sure. There is no concern with the location of the dryer and the washer from any like health or safety risk or health or safety issue. And it's currently the building is not occupied, so I know it's been very quiet there for you for the last year. But it is desirable to have more affordable, more housing in the city. And of course, we're providing the best design that we can. It's a 2-bedroom, beautiful design for the basement, I hope, and a lovely 3-bedroom for the ground floor space. And we don't anticipate that there will be lots of coming and going or neighbors that are a nuisance. But it currently is unoccupied.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, your questions now, if you have any for the agent. I'm not hearing any. Okay, then let's take the application into committee and move toward a motion. Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think with the amendments that have been brought forward, it's a much improved situation relative to what currently exists. I have a feeling this particular application might have come before us in a different form previously, and I was always concerned about the lack of any soft landscaping in the front with everything be paved over. But for going from 0 to 20%, that's an amazing improvement. So I don't have any concerns about this particular application. I don't believe there are any conditions attached other than the recommendations from transportation. So I'd like to move a motion to approve.
Thank you.
You adopt the transportation conditions, right?
Yeah, transportation conditions.
Okay. Yeah, I will second that. Yeah.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. 2, approve subject to transportation. All those in favor, please, show of hands.
As amended.
Pardon me.
And it's as amended.
As amended, correct. Quite important. As amended. We're dealing with an amended application. That vote is unanimous to carry the motion, and the amended application is thereby approved. Thank you, panel. Thank you, applicant. Okay. Panel moves along now to number 14. Number 14. .424 Russell Hill Road. Here the materials that we are looking at are submitted materials with the application, 10 photographs, trees. There is an arborist report from January, and there is a staff report from Urban Forestry. So, let's have the agent please join us by stating your name.
For the owner.
Hello.
Hi there. Can you hear me? I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner.
I hear you now.
Thank you.
Could you state your name, please?
Sure. Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner.
Very good. And also listed, Mr. Laszlo, is Michael Eisenstein in support. Will he be speaking too?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yes, Michael is on standby.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we just have him to see?
Let's do that. We'll go to Michael. Michael, could you join us, please? By stating your name.
You hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm here.
Just state your name, please.
Oh, sorry. Michael Eisenstein.
Very good. And Michael, your comments to the panel. Go ahead.
Basically, I'm in support. The proposal has I'll call it the cabana that comes to the backyard, to my backyard. And as I understand it, it's the variance is it's a little slightly closer, but I'm letting the panel know that I'm fine with it as it is.
Very good. That helps. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's go back then to the agent. And panel members, any questions on the application? We have the agent with us again, Mr. Byatt.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question for the applicant. On the site plan, you've got proposed terrace, concrete paving stones. What's your view with regard to having permeable paving stones, just to add to the porosity of water drainage?
I believe we're open to accept, there is a large sodded area. So, I mean, yes, I appreciate, permeable pavers will always help a situation. But in this case, I still believe we have a large expanse of grassed area in the backyard, so.
Would that be a yes or a no?
Yeah, I'm trying to think it out myself.
Take a second.
My perspective, I do appreciate the fact that there's a very large area of sod. However, the less concrete we have, I think, in our environment, the better we'll all be at the end of the day. So that's how I would view it. But I'll let you respond.
Yes, permeable pavers would be fine. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Further questions? No? Okay. Hearing no further questions, I think we can take the application into committee for a motion. Mr. Byatt, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'd be very happy to move a motion to approve. I think it's very reasonable, given the size of the property as well. It's a very reasonable application, and having the neighbor at the rear also supporting it says a lot. And the applicant has very kindly and graciously acknowledged that we could add the condition that the proposed terrace be produced with permeable pavers. So that would be the only stipulation we would have. So I'd be very happy to move a motion to approve.
So the wording for the permeable paver area, how can we describe the area that we're doing impermeable?
On the site plan, just to the side of proposed lounging pool, there's an indication that says proposed terrace, and in brackets, concrete paving stones. So it would be proposed terrace, permeable pavers have permeable paving stones, something to that effect.
Okay. The staff have captured that. Okay. All right then.
Thank you.
There's a motion to approve. Does it have a second? It is seconded. Mr. Reed. All in favor? And the motion is carried. The application is so approved. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if you want to handle items number 15 and 16, knowing that they do have different variances, but I don't know if that's something.
Well, yes, 235. Number 15 is 236. Number 16 is 234 Hillsdale. I think there would be some value here in terms of perspective in dealing with them together, though they are, if I remember correctly, they are different. Just a second.
Item 15 has more variances than item number 16.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair. For clarification, those two items do not have registered speakers. The registered speaker is actually the one who's presenting on behalf of the agent.
Okay, so there are no registered speakers standing by. Okay. Okay, and it's the same agent for both applications. So let's bring on the agent now, please.
Ali, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So We are, as a panel, looking at the two applications to get together. Each one has its own individual. We'll vote on them separately because they aren't the same, but perhaps you could give us an overview of the scope of the overall project as it involves the two properties.
Indeed, as you can see, these two houses are existing semi-detached dwellings, and we're altering both of them by adding a rear two-story extension on each of them. That generates several variances, as you can see on the public notices, and we have also submitted some case study showing the approvals in the close proximity, and just to make sure on our side that we are not setting a new precedent. I don't want to take your time further, but I'd be happy to answer any question. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Are there questions, panel, on either of the two applications? My question for you relates to application number 15, 236. Tell me about that soft landscaping variance, offering 39 where 75 is required. Is that an existing condition?
It is an existing condition, sir. The front yard parking, the existing one, is being reassigned to the new owners, but as we stand, that is a variance until they go through the process, which actually is moving well, but...
Front area.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just gonna pull up that the site plan for number 15, and we can have a look.
Sure. Sure. Perhaps if you display my support material, it's highlighted over there very well. Yes, number 236, obviously the one on the right side, you can see the existing parking pad.
Okay.
And the existing curb. And that is generating the software, because as we stand, we are still through the process to get the approval for that. That's almost granted, yet has to go through a process for the payments, and that basically I'm just justifying the reason for that variance, which is not going to be there after a while, but as we stand, we still have that variance. And it is an existing condition. Yes, that is the existing parking.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're not changing anything. We're no new, basically.
Any further questions, panel? Anyone? I'm hearing no further questions, so at this point, we can take the application into committee. Moving to a motion. Anyone ready with a motion? Let's do a motion for number 15 first. Ms. Chan, go ahead.
I think this is a good proposal because the semi-detached, they're doing it together, so it's the mitigate any kind of negative impact to each other. And also, I think that the front yard, there's actually quite a much bigger area. The city-owned property has got soft landscaping, so I think that should be okay. So with before that, I move for approval for both items 15 and 16. Are there any conditions? Anyone?
No, none that I can see, Jim.
Okay, yeah, and that's it. With no conditions, yes.
Okay, let's. Mr. Bai, are you seconding both motions?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I am, Chair.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we'll do two separate votes. First vote is going to be with respect to number 15, 236. Motion moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, show of hands, please. Motion carried. Application approved. Number 234 is item number 16. There is a motion moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, show of hands. Thank you. So 15 and 16 are both approved. Number 17 is 273 Grace Street. On 273 Grace, we've got submitted materials. There's a photograph of the property. There is correspondence from transportation. There's a staff report from planning. Let's have the applicant join us, please.
Murat, you've been unmuted.
Yes. Hello, how are you?
Very well, please. Thank you. State your name, please.
Yes, my name is Murat Özgür, and I'm the applicant for 273 Grace Street.
Thank you. Okay. Panel members, questions for the agent on 17? Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Yeah, just one question. The staff report recommending two conditions. Are you aware of the two conditions? One is to tie to the, this is in the supplemental material we received. It mentioned about the tie to the plan submitted and also to plant one tree. Yeah. There are two conditions. So are you okay with those?
Yes. And basically, this is an addition, an alteration of an existing building, and there is a garden suite at the back, at the rear yard. So we have two different variances listed, two different zoning reviews.
Oh, my question is, community planning recommended two conditions. Are you aware of those two conditions? And if you are you okay with them?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the two
Can you hear me?
conditions are posted on the screen, and the applicant
Yes.
should be able to see them. And the question is, are you okay with these two conditions?
Yes, I am okay with that,
Okay,
with these
thank
two
you.
conditions.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Further questions? Anyone ready with a motion? Mr. Reed, please.
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a good application, and particularly given the situation of the lot with Jersey Street on the rear, which really is more like a laneway rather than street. This garden suite is more similar to a laneway suite than a garden suite, and so I think it fits the spirit of the bylaws that are proposed, and I think planning's conditions that they propose are smart and go to address the soft yard landscaping deficiencies. So I'm happy to move approval of the application subject to the two planning conditions.
Thank you. And that is seconded by Ms. Chan. Those in favor, please show of hands. Motion is carried. The application is approved. Number 18, as you can see, has no address attached. It has been postponed. We move on to number 19, 86 Monarch Park Avenue. And on this one, we'll have the applicant join us. Well, first of all, let's just look at the materials on the application. Those submitted at the time of application, then revised site plan, floor plans, elevations, revised zoning waiver, March 29. There's a cover letter, March 29, agent. There's email correspondence from Community Planning, and one form letter in support from owners or occupants of 88 Monarch Park next door. So let's have the agent join us, please.
Mr. Chair and committee members, I'm Orteza Davari at 3080 Young Street, Suite 6060, and representing the residents of 86 Monarch Park Avenue as a designer and the agent.
Good day to you. Okay. Just before we begin here, for clarity, I have a note that variance number 1 is to be removed.
Yes, that's correct.
So, and that variance number 2 is going to change where it reads.
Pardon, number 3.
I beg your pardon. Number 3 changes, does it? Okay. Number 3 changes where it says 28%. That becomes 32%. We will need a revised square meterage figure. Do you have that?
Through you, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
point of correction, it's 32.95%. That is what is stated on the waiver form.
Okay.
And yes, we do need it in square meters.
Has been reflected on that updated site plan.
You need to state that for public record.
Sure.
So what is the measurement?
Take a moment to work it out. Can you do that?
According to the updated site plan, the provided soft landscaping, the rear yard would be 32 square meter, which is 32.95% of the rear yard area.
Okay, and it's 32%. It's 32 meters squared, 32 even, 3200.
Yes.
Okay, we're just going to pause for a moment. I want to make sure staff have this, and the Deputy Secretary Treasurer has had to leave the room for a moment, so we're just going to pause a second. $32.00 meters, 32.95% and 32 meters square. Are you concerned about those? Yeah. Makes sense to me. Just, yeah, it seems to make sense to me. Okay. All right, well, I'm not sure what's happened here. Let's carry on. Panel members, any questions for the applicant?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have a registered speaker, so we may need a presentation.
Thank you very much, moderator. I was not aware of that. And let's then, in that case, we'll offer the applicant the opportunity to present the application. Applicant, you have 5 minutes now to present your application.
Sure. The purpose of my presentation today is to discuss our recent application for construction of a new garage in the near yard of the property, which resulted in 3 minor variances. As stated in our cover letter, we have been in close communication with Sean Gunter from Community Planning, who informed us of planning's request for additional soft landscaping in the rear yard. Our team has worked to revise the original drawings, which resulted in following adjustment. The proposed garage has been reduced in length by 2 feet 6 inches. The original submitted drawings showed a 20 feet by 24 feet garage in the backyard. With the aforementioned adjustment, the garage now measures 20 feet by 21 feet 6 inches, totaling 40 square meters. This change complies with the zoning bylaw requirements for the maximum total floor area of all ancillary building, thereby eliminating variance number 1, as you mentioned. As a result of these changes, the soft landscaping has increased by 6.63 square meter, totaling 32 square meters, or 32.95% of the area. The proposed soft landscaping has increased from 31.94% to 32.95%, which is a positive improvement. And we understand that planning has requested additional soft landscaping to enhance green space and promote the storm water retention on the property. With these revisions, we have met their request and hope to receive the committee's approval on the remaining 2 minor variances. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on now to the speaker standing by.
Andre, you've been unmuted.
Are you able to hear me?
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please state your name.
Hello?
Hello, Andre, we can hear you. Please state your name.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I'm asking you to state your name, please.
Hello, committee members, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please state your name and your address. You don't need to mute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I cannot hear you. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? You can hear me. Okay. Why am I not able to hear you? I do apologize for this. All right, maybe you could say something.
Testing.
Okay. Good morning. First of all, thank you for your time, committee members.
Just a moment, please.
The last.
Hello. Before you speak, you'll need to state your name and address, please.
My name is Andre Ramsaran. My address is 84 Monarch Park.
Now we have connection. Very good, Andre. Go ahead. You have 5 minutes to bring forward your concerns.
Okay. I'm afraid I will have to bring up my concerns relative to the previous dimensions. I'm not able to follow the previous speaker's revision due to some hearing deficit that I have in the manner in which the person was speaking. So I will state my presentation relative to the previous dimensions, but I feel we can overlay it as we go along. So first of all, my name is Andre Ramsaran. I've owned Monarch Park since April 2001. And today I would like to raise my objection concerning the variances for the construction of the garage. And there's specifically 4 points that I would like to raise. The first point has to do with bylaw 569-23 with the minimum of 50% yard must be maintained as soft landscaping. The application calls for 28%. And if you look at it another way, that represents 72% of the yard being covered by non-soft landscaping, which is a 44% variance over the bylaw. So my first question to the committee would be if that would be considered minor or not. I would humbly suggest that a 44% variance would not be considered minor. My second point that I would like to raise is that the proposed garage dimensions of 21 feet by 24 feet, which is 44.65 meters squared, that represents the 11.6% variance. And that would protrude approximately 50% the length of the backyard. So my request is that the structure be amended from 24 feet to 21 feet, which I believe I wasn't able to hear if that's a revision that they were considering making or not. My last 2 points, point number 3, the proposed encroachment on the fence line would make it impossible for me to repair the fence. To my knowledge, that fence is approximately 22 years old. So my request would be that before the garage is constructed, that we enter an agreement with the applicants on replacing the existing fencing with a privacy fence of at least 6 feet in height, or whatever regulations may apply, and that we share the cost based on established sharing practices. And the fourth point is, with the garage going 50% the length of the backyard, I would like to request some kind of visual element, like, I don't know if a window or a fake window or some kind of design pattern could be introduced on the southern elevation to kind of break up that 24-foot long monolithic wall. I have not personally met the applicants in person. I do appreciate their desire to improve the property, and I trust that we can work together for a mutually appropriate plan. Thank you for your time, committee members.
Thank you very much. Panel members, any questions for this speaker? I'm not hearing any. Okay, then. What we'll do now is we'll go back to the agent, who will have an opportunity to offer comments and rebuttal on what the speaker has said. Agent, join us again, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned in my in my presentation, we already reduced the size of the garage. Now it's 21 feet 6 inches, whereas when the original drawing shows the 24 feet, I understand the concern of the next door neighbor. So for his information, we already reduced the length of the garage. Now the area of the garage meets the zoning requirements. However, regarding the soft landscaping, I totally understand the concern of the Committee of Adjustment, the next door neighbor. We did our best, so that's why we had a close cooperation with the the planner, in order to provide more soft landscaping compared to existing soft landscaping. We provided 1% more soft landscaping, so I think it would be we did our best to respect the neighborhood as well and provide the reasonable design for our client.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, any questions for the agent? Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Yes, I'm a little bit confused with the size of your garage. You said that you have reduced it so that you can get rid of variance number 1. But if you look at this site plan and the previous site plan, the length 21 feet and 6 inches hasn't been changed.
No, excuse me. I need to explain it to you. If you please have a look at the revised drawings, you see the existing site plan and proposed site plan. So as I mentioned, in the original drawings, which we submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, the length of the garage was 24 feet. And according to communication with the planning, we reduced the length of the garage by 2.5 feet. Now the length of the garage is 21 feet 6 inches. So that's why, according to these changes happened to the length of the garage, variance number 1 has been eliminated.
Okay, so we have to base on this revised site plan. You know the date of this site plan? Okay, March 29. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, then I'm not hearing any. Let's go into committee, please. And go with the motion. Mr. Byatt, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think this as an application, it's a fairly reasonable one, and I would like to commend the applicant working with city planning and coming up with an improved number with regard to variance number 3. So this is an amended application. And I think what one might want to make reference to is the revised site plan with so that the dimensions of the garage are more accurate. But I'd like to move forward with the motion. I don't believe there's a planning condition, of course, and it's an amended application, and we could identify the site plan, which I think is the revised one. I can't remember the number of it, as a reference point.
Very good. Does that motion have a second? Ms. Chan?
Yes, I agree, yeah.
You're seconding the motion. Okay. So it is moved and seconded to so approve the amended application. All those in favor, please, show of hands. And that unanimous vote carries the motion. The application is approved. Thank you. The final item on our, what we call the morning agenda is number 20, 424 Rosemary. And here we have before us those materials submitted. We have an arborist report, December. Presentation materials from the agent, March 28th. Staff report, urban forestry. And there is correspondence in support coming from 422 Rosemary, 420 Rosemary, and 19 and 17 Dewborn. Let's have the agent join us, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I hope you can hear me all right.
Clearly. State your name, please.
Sir, last name is Bronskill, Bronskill, first initial D for David here, acting on behalf, as agent on behalf of the applicant. And Mr. Chair, I'm in your hands as to how much of a presentation you'd like, given there are no planning concerns and the letters of support. The forestry condition is obviously acceptable. I'm happy to go through the presentation materials, or I'm happy just to answer questions.
Thank you very much. I'll see if the panel has any for you. Questions, panel? Mr. Byatt, shoot.
Just to note that I did have a question initially, but I think it was answered when I looked at the side elevations. It was with regard to the third floor balcony, but I see that it's quite set back within the roof structure. So my question was answered. Thank you so much. Otherwise, I think it's a very supportable application.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is the answer I would have given. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Ms. Chan.
I have one question.
Go.
Oh yeah, very quick question, and I sort of maybe it's not a question, but just ask you for you to explain. This is a new build, right? And
yes.
I can't. Well, why can't you comply with the side yard setback variance number 3? Is it because of you like to have a wider house?
It is. It's to have a. Yes, it's to have a slightly wider, through Mr. Chair, it's to have a slightly wider house in that location. If staff, if they don't mind just putting up the site plan, what we've done on that side is it's slightly closer for a portion of the building. It's where the adjacent home at 430, frankly, is also slightly closer. So we're mirroring those. And then you'll see where we get back behind them, we then open up again to 1.24 meters. So it's slightly wider at the front and then narrowing at the back, where they also then step back, obviously with their older house more considerably. But it's only for that portion on the front. We'd have no concern if the committee wanted to have this substantially in accordance with the site plan to ensure that we don't extend it all the way back. But that's exactly why.
Okay, yeah, all right. So your neighbor is okay with it, right?
Correct. And it's a slight shifting. If you see on the green line today on the south side next to 422, we're actually a little bit closer there. With the green line with the existing house, so we're a little bit further away there. And so on the other side, we're a little bit closer where they've got a tighter side yard. That's sort of why, through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Thank you for the.
Okay. If there are no further questions, we can go into committee on this application. Moving toward a motion. And Mr. Bayek, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move a motion to approve, with the only conditions being forestry 1 and 2.
Is there a second to that motion? It is seconded, Mr. Reid.
Yeah. Sahi, will you take the recommendation by the applicant say to tie it to the site plan?
Certainly, no problem there, Ian. I think that will be fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Moved and seconded to approve tied to site plan. All those in favor, please, show of hands. That vote is unanimous to carry the motion. The application is so approved. And that does finish up our morning agenda.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can probably commence at around 2:10 this afternoon for our PM applications.
Yeah. So, yes, I agree. So the committee will now go into recess, and we shall resume with item number 21, 98 Hogarth Avenue, at 2:10 this afternoon. We'll see everybody back then after the recess. Thank you.